It's Michael Tidwell. Paul.
My last name is pronounced Sports.
And Michael B. Casey.
Blocktime.
It's Blocktime. This is Michael Tidwell.
And this is Michael B. Casey.
And today, we have one more member. Keep forgetting about him.
Paul,
What?
what's your tagline?
Paul
What's your
Sports?
Hey, there he is.
And today we're joined by someone who we interviewed actually, about 6 months ago or so? We interviewed Ben Lorber, and he's here to join us today because there was actually some Twitter beef going on earlier, and they're here to settle this.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that gets settled.
So, yeah, I was barely following. I just was excited to see people fighting.
Yes.
As usual.
I just saw you say fight, 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 fight. Oh, and if you can't see, Paul, Ben actually brought his great sword with him today.
It's a great sword. Is that Valyrian steel?
Yeah, it's a lot of intrinsic value.
I believe it's the Braveheart Sword.
Oh, are you going to attack?
No, it's the Braveheart Sword.
Yeah.
Paul, do you look scared? I mean, he's pointing a sword at you.
So we're doing a gladiator battle, right?
Paul, what did you bring as your weapon of choice? Did you bring like a baseball bat or?
I brought a USB stick.
The pen is mightier than the sword,
The
right?
pen is mightier than the sword. Don't pick up
The pen drive is mightier than the sword.
Pen drive. Yeah, that's funny.
I think this is I think this should happen more, where people get into a fight on text-based medium on the internet, and then they do like a little chat, because I think that actually would help. Would like help the internet
Twitter's kind of a
way.
shitty format for like back and forths because of the character limit, and you can't really. I don't know. It just sucks.
The medium is the message, and I think part of the text message, the medium is just sort of like, it's just these words that are just there hovering until the end of time, and so it casts this kind of intimidating glare across all of space-time.
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
So actually, this whole thing was about intrinsic value.
Yeah. What? So what was the argument, and who's right?
Well, I'll start off.
We just read the tweets.
Yeah, we can read.
No.
Okay.
Because I can't even really remember something about whether or not an intrinsic value is also the first value.
Yeah. So
All right. Repeat the argument, and we'll go from there.
All right. So money has three functions, right? You can call them properties, functions. Store of value.
No, I know. I agree it has three functions, but I do not agree that you can call a property a function.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So, like,
You're right.
It have like a property of sharpness, but its function would be to cut things.
You're right.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Function is the correct term. So store of value, medium of exchange, and unit of account. Okay. So so basically, a medium of exchange is obvious, right? You send it to someone else. Well, some people, I guess, say that could be considered intrinsic value. I guess. I think that's what Paul was saying.
That's what Paul was saying when you send straight from GDAX or whatever to Alphabet. That's what he was saying. It's intrinsic value.
So that's intrinsic value. Yeah. But some people define intrinsic value as the properties outside or the functions outside of money. So that's where it was confusing.
You see, it's important whether or not it's a property or a function, because the intrinsic value is in the properties category of things, and the functions are just those three. So the functions are verbs. They're like, you use money to account for things, and you use it as a unit of account, or you use it to spend, and you use it as a medium of exchange, or you use it as to store value, like over time. So they're like verbs. So the functions are verbs. Like the knife is used to cut. Like cutting is like a verb. It's like something that people do.
Right.
So that makes a big difference whether or not Bitcoin can't be a good to cut or be a bad to account or something. You can't be a bad verb.
So I have a question, because you're talking about properties and intrinsic value. So does an excellent counterfeit $100 bill have intrinsic value?
If it's a perfect counterfeit?
Yeah, if it's like a perfect counterfeit.
But then it would have the same intrinsic value as a regular $100 bill.
Right, except that it wasn't, it wasn't issued. So it has more intrinsic value because you can make them. But
no. You're talking about a specific thing, and then the act of making is a different.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, okay. So what is your definition of intrinsic value? Or what's your I don't even know what... Go ahead.
My definition of intrinsic value is just a value that's not a value as money. So when I say something has a value as money, I mean that you could like go to the store and spend it, or you could save it under your mattress or something. So when you're using it to perform those three functions, you're using something as money.
Right. So it's not intrinsic value.
But it should have a property, which is that it can be used for some mysterious fourth or fifth thing in addition to those three.
So what is Bitcoin's fourth or fifth thing?
Bitcoin's is that it upgrades the US dollar and lets you buy like things on darknet markets or do other kinds of weird
but
Bitcoin only like programmable cash and things like that.
Yeah, that's a medium of exchange though.
Not necessarily.
That's in that category.
Because those people are using the US dollar. These are people who go, like people who buy drugs, or so I read, according to certain Bitcoin Uncensored hosts, upon whose information I rely for these matters. The person is going like they go to Coinbase and they buy $20 worth of Bitcoin. And you notice that intentionally framing everything in dollars. They buy $20 worth of Bitcoin. Then it's in their web browser. They go right over to Tor and they go to Alphabet or whatever, and they spend $20 to buy $20 worth of whatever it is, marijuana. It gets shipped to their house, and the seller of the marijuana, he priced it in dollars, accepting the Bitcoin temporarily, but he's cashing that out for US dollars. So none of these people are actually using it as money per se. They may literally be using it as a medium of exchange.
Medium of exchange.
So they're only using it it's only like 1/3 of the way towards money. But this is part of what's confusing about Bitcoin, which is that the intrinsic value happens to very, very strongly resemble people who are using it as money. But it would be no different than if you had to like load your PayPal account with dollars that they credited you in dollars, and you go onto Coinbase and you load your PayPal account with dollars, and you go onto Silk Road or whatever, and you spend your PayPal dollars there, and then the person cashes the PayPal dollars out to their checking account. That would be the same in both cases.
You might be saying PayPal is a medium of exchange, but I think what you're describing is basically using Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. That's like exactly what that is. When you're exchanging value from one person to the other, you don't care what the value does. It can go up and down.
I agree, but they're not using it as money. They're only using it as a medium of exchange. So 1/3 of the way they are.
Right, correct.
Best.
Yeah, I agree. But yes. I would say that, Overstock just came out and said that they're increasing their holdings of Bitcoin by 50%. So if you buy something in Overstock, correct me if I'm wrong, half of it, they just cash out immediately. They don't care. But they're keeping 50%.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
what I heard.
In that case, they are that's more approaching. Of course, nothing in the world is black and white.
I didn't hear that. That's actually pretty interesting. So all their Bitcoin purchases they're hodling half?
Yeah, it used to be 10%, I think.
Yeah, they
like 2 days ago.
So okay, sorry, that's interesting. I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, so they are kind of they're more toward using it as money. But I think we all know, I mean, I don't think it's really in dispute that like when people would actually use Bitcoin as money, everything would be quoted in prices of Bitcoin, and people would feel no need to like check the Bitcoin price constantly because it would just be so it would be using the other two functions as in order to account for things and in order to store value across time.
Yeah.
Now the value storage is an investment. People look at it. They look at the price and the percentage appreciation in their home currency because they haven't left because money is like a social thing. So that's my definition to wrap it up of intrinsic value. It's just some value other than as money. And Bitcoin's case, it is being used as the payment network. So it's being used as a medium of exchange in the same way that PayPal is a medium of exchange, but neither of them are really money.
Yeah, I agree. I never disputed that either.
PayPal kind of is a little bit money, like Bitcoin is a little bit money. You know, some people will say that having PayPal is as good as if they have $20 of PayPal money in their account, that's as good as having $20 in cash. And of course, there's this giant spectrum, and there's no there's no like discrete anything in a complicated world. But in general, like it's not like PayPal's like its own.
Yeah, it's still evaluated, and they don't have PayPal dollars. At least I don't know if they do have PayPal dollars.
So Tidwell and I were having
the example. The one more thing to say though is that the examples about like gold having intrinsic value, like by intrinsic value, that's consistent with my definition, which is that people use gold to like as like in dentistry to like fill a teeth, fill your cavity, and they use it to conduct electricity. And they use it to
jewelry,
like they put it on buildings, like it's on the roof of those buildings because it doesn't like corrode ever, and so it's like a good.
Has very high thermal conductivity too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's really, it's used in like medicine, it's used in aircraft, space parts, and all these other things. But none of those things are all, what all those things have in common is that they are not being used as money. They're just being used as some other thing. And so that's how I define intrinsic value. It's just some second.
Yeah.
So wait, what's the definition of money again? A unit of account.
Yeah, there's
No, no.
the
three functions
the
of
three
money,
functions
which is
of money.
important. That's true.
Okay, so
Because properties
so
are different.
so let me ask you a question.
Functions and the properties and the definition are all different.
Yeah. Because
Okay,
there is a list of properties.
Okay, let's talk
anyway.
about the functions first that you described of money. You have to
Store
have
of value,
store of value,
unit of exchange,
and unit of account.
unit of account.
And then
Bitcoin
And
is
it's my contention that all those are verbs. Those are things that you do.
Okay, and then the properties of money are
That's-
durability and stuff.
fungibility.
Fungibility,
Yeah.
durability.
Well, those are
uh,
sound money properties. Yes.
Yeah.
recognizability. Well, these are things like, it's like the knife example is a good example, because you could have a different knife. Like a knife could be sharp or it could be dull, and then you could say it's still a knife. Like even if it's dull, it's just not a very good knife for cutting. But then you have like something like a butter knife. Like if you want to cut bread, you need like usually a serrated knife. Like it has little saws, so you can saw into the bread. But if you want to have like a butter knife that you want to spread butter with, you don't want it to. That would like cut. You only want it to just be some flat thing, and you don't want it to weigh very much. You want it to be very lightweight. You don't want it. You don't actually want it to cut into the bread, because it will like make a big mess. You get a bunch of. Like you're trying to butter some toast, and you have a bunch of serrated things on it. It's just screwed up. So there are these different dimensions upon which you could classify. Look at the knifeness of something. Like, is it?
Did you
small,
say
if you hold it in
knifeness
your hand,
or
is it
The
sharp?
knifiness.
the knife?
So we agree. Like I've always said that too. That
So wait, there's no fight.
Well, I guess the difference.
So disappointed.
I'm disputing his. I think when he talked about the medium of exchange, I think he
Well,
has
no,
a
but
different
I mean,
definition. I think what he's-
you guys both said that the example given was a medium exchange. He just says that doesn't rise to it being money.
Well, no,
just because
I don't
one
think
of
it
the
does
three is
either.
met.
No.
Yeah.
So I guess a question I have for Paul is so Bitcoin is not money because of unit account. Can it be money? And,
Absolutely.
And should it be
Well,
money?
and he was talking specifically about the example of people, just doing darknet purchases from fiat just because they can use it instead of, dollars,
Yeah.
because you can't use dollars for those purchases.
Which is a great, by the way, in terms of medium exchange. It's like the best medium of exchange.
It is.
Better than
It's
gold,
definitely
obviously.
a medium of exchange in that scenario. It definitely is.
So I want to hear what he says about, can Bitcoin and should it be money, or should that not be the goal? Should it be like a digital gold?
No, first of all, I think that being digital gold and being money there's a lot of overlap. But no, what I was saying was Bitcoin, it actually has, because I was responding to I think the original branching off point between you and I was that I was responding to this argument from the gold bugs, the Peter Schiff types, who say that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. And I was saying it does have intrinsic value. Its value is that it upgrades the medium of exchange with some other money, in this case the US dollar, or it could easily be the euro or something else. So its intrinsic value is that it's like, it upgrades the money that you already have so that it's less constrained.
Well, there's actually a quote from Satoshi on the intrinsic value of Bitcoin. Effectively, you guys heard this quote where he talks about picture Bitcoin as, picture a dull gray metal, has no special characteristics about it. It's not particularly too heavy or too light. It's not very mild. You can't do much with it, but it has one very interesting property, and it's that you can instantly send it anywhere in the world.
We talked about this before this was even a
This
dispute, like a couple
we were
days
having
ago.
this discussion about intrinsic value of Bitcoin
Randomly,
before.
just randomly.
Because Tidwell was like, it has no intrinsic value. And I was like, yeah, it does.
That's the intrinsic value thing is very confusing. By the way, it's a vague word. Some people use different terms.
Well, he went and looked up the definition of at least from one place, and
then I had to agree with Mike because the definition.
Well, when Peter Schiff
Hold
or
on.
anybody says intrinsic value, they mean physical properties.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
physical.
Hold on,
tangible
hold on,
and
hold on.
intangible.
Intangible.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
But see, I
Well, wait,
think
what does that mean? Tangible and intangible?
Well, that was the definition he looked up.
No, how can it be tangible and
No,
intangible?
the tangible
All right, hold
and
on,
intangible
hold on, hold on.
properties.
Hold
So
on.
both of them.
The intrinsic value is the actual value. This is
Of a
this is straight
company.
off Google. So whatever the first definition from Investopedia, then the intrinsic value is the actual value of a company or an asset based on an underlying perception of its true value, including all aspects of the business in terms of both tangible and intangible factors.
No, that's referring to a valuation of a corporation, and by intangible they mean like goodwill associated with the brand and stuff. That's not what it means.
Well,
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Well,
so that's the thing
this
is
this
there-
misconception of the definition led me to believe agree
there-
with Mike
there-
Casey.
Well, no, I believe intrinsic value is more than just physical properties. It's the actual properties of Bitcoin. Bitcoin isn't even a physical thing.
hold on.
I was always under the impression intrinsic value was physical properties of
Hold on.
something besides its original
No,
use.
but I don't understand. Like, information is physics, so it doesn't really make any sense that like everything's a physical property. Everything that's a property is a physical property, right? I mean, like,
Well, what is an idea physically?
It's on a spectrum, Paul.
it's made out of information. All
It's
matter
on a
is made
spectrum.
out of information.
All right, sorry,
Guys,
Ben wants to say something. Hold on.
Gosh. So the gold bug, the argument, right, is that you have to have intrinsic value in order to become. I mean, from what I understand, right, like gold will never be manipulated, right, because it's always going to have value, no matter what. If we all get wiped out,
but its intrinsic
gold will have
value is like much less than what it is.
it's much less
Yeah.
than the value. So the value of gold right now is not because it's great for jewelry or a conductor or anything like that. Obviously, that's
Right.
not what gives it value.
Exactly.
What gives it value is it's a hedge against inflation, right?
It's decent as a money. or
Right.
your-
Well, I think I'm not sure I remember it correctly, but I think that the Misan argument is that if you don't have this sort of seed of intrinsic value, then you won't be able to get all the extra. It won't be able to become money, and you won't be able to get all the extra value out of this system. And I just have a weird conjecture that the reason that that's the case is because if it had no intrinsic value, it would be vulnerable to competition from something that did have a little bit of intrinsic value. So if you had something else that was like gold, and it was almost exactly like gold, but it wasn't very shiny or something, or just like slightly duller. I mean, silver is a good example.
silver's
because
a great
it's slightly more
example.
plentiful and it tarnishes.
It tarnishes, it oxidizes.
And it looks beautiful when it
Silver
oxidizes.
and gold get into a fight, then silver has to lose. And since the stakes are so high, it makes it makes an unstable form of money. This is just my conjecture. I'm just trying to interpret the von Mises argument, but I think
Right.
that it's that you're vulnerable to just having the whole thing shatter if it comes into competition with something that has some intrinsic value. And I think it just needs. I think there's a big difference between like zero and a little. So like both silver and gold have some intrinsic value. But I think if something has zero intrinsic value, then I think it's just like really, really, really vulnerable to being replaced like very quickly.
Do you
Or
believe
that either you could summon up a bunch of fake things that have no intrinsic value to try and compete with gold at any time, and that since that would be so too ridiculous to endure, there has to be just like a blanket.
so? Would
No
would
on
you
that.
say, by your definition, Paul, does Bitcoin have any form of intrinsic value?
No, yeah, it does, because it allows you to make payments with other things that you. May
But
be
you
using
just
as
you
money
just
or not.
defined its intrinsic value as something other than the ability to be one of the three functions of money.
No, because what's happening is you're transacting with people who do not necessarily use Bitcoin as money. So they're on Silk Road and they're trying to get paid in dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And just like you have to jump through hoops to open a checking account or open a PayPal account, they jump through these hoops and they get paid at first in Bitcoin, but they cash out to get to dollars. So
You don't-
these are people
you don't
who want
know
to be paid
that.
in dollars. All the
Yeah, you
BitPay
don't
is a
know
perfect
that. That's
example.
true.
Paul, you don't know.
You don't
I
know
mean,
that.
so it's subjective or it's dependent on how they receive it, because you don't know 100%.
I'd say
If
there's
they-
a
if
high
they-
likelihood.
But I don't know anything 100%. And
So-
like I do know that they changed the price so that it's in dollars, right? And I do know that lots of people use BitPay and they have the thing cashed out in dollars like 24 hours later. And
So are you saying that it needs to be denominated in Bitcoin? Is that the only thing that's
To-
missing?
no, but that would be one indicator.
That's unit of account.
That's the third. Yeah. So this is my opinion. I think, Paul, what you're getting hung up on is this whole it has to have intrinsic value. I think there's an argument to say we're in a totally new territory, right? We're using this thing. It stores value. It's going up in value. I guess it could go down, right? But it's obviously we're using it to exchange value from one place to the other. Obviously, right? It's a terrible unit of account, but maybe that will change, maybe not. But okay, let's just say it has those two other
but
properties
it
of
can't
money.
it can't be a good or bad unit of account, right? It's like the knife can only be sharp or dull.
No,
It's either you use it to cut or you don't. So
No,
people don't use it as a unit of account right now.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
Because-
You
Right.
could.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, though. You could.
People
right.
have in the past.
Like miners, I think. A lot of
But let
times
me
it's-
ask you.
Yeah, but it's
if-
just as good as a
better.
potential unit of account as anything.
But let me finish. So I think the argument should be that our definition of what intrinsic value that gold has, it needs to change. Or you just say that, look, that traditional aspect that it needs to have intrinsic value, maybe it's wrong. That's not in the functions of the money.
No, but I think you're right. It might be wrong, but I'm just
Right.
trying to say that I think Bitcoin does have intrinsic value.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, I will say this though: it does have a connection to our time and space continuum, in that you have to mine it. That takes hardware. It takes electricity.
I
So
mean,
there is
I
a
don't-
connection, I guess, to
Yeah.
But
something
this
that
is
has intrinsic
the
value.
Game and Watch paper is that you get the owners of Bitcoin get a dividend. They earn actually money in U.S. dollars from other people who because if you want to make a Bitcoin transaction, you need to pay the Bitcoin transaction fee, and that is denominated in Bitcoin. And
Right.
so you have to pay. The miners only accept Bitcoin for their block
That's
space.
true. In order to use a network, you have to denominate.
Yeah, but that's not.
Even
It's,
if you want to
it's a
rent,
market
even if
rate.
you want to rent, even if you just want to buy some Bitcoin and sell them to someone else who immediately sells the Bitcoin for dollars, you still have to have. You have to go. This is you have to buy them in the market, and then you have to sell them in the market later, and so that means you pay the spread on every single Bitcoin you transact with. So this is
You're talking about
from
because
the
of
paper that I was linking to.
the fluctuations in the price. Is that what you're saying? Or are you just talking about the
No,
fee?
I'm saying like just the people who are like landlords in Bitcoin land, they earn money based on other people transacting in Bitcoin.
So the
They earn
hodlers.
U.S. dollars. So it does have intrinsic value.
Yeah, I would
But I
agree.
agree that maybe it's not totally essential that something have intrinsic value. But whether
Right.
it is or it's not essential, I think Bitcoin does have some
I
intrinsic
think
value.
far more important than intrinsic values, the monetary properties. I mean, and Bitcoin smokes gold in most of them. The only ones really is Bitcoin is inferior is fungibility, right?
Well, there's
Yeah, like for now, but I mean the progress has been made over the last like whatever 40
Right.
years. Has been like-
Yeah, I mean, and there's all
and when you
sorts
get to
of
Lightning
technologies
and
out there
it
now.
might even be,
Yeah,
I mean, it'd be hard to be as fungible as gold. But
yeah,
ever.
melt it down.
But I think it'll be easy to be as fungible as.
See,
Whoa, hold on.
dollars.
As fungible as U.S. dollars?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Well, yeah,
I mean, I would say that would be impossible. Like
Yeah,
as
because
far
they
as
have
paper
they
in
each
person
of them has a
they
dollars.
have
unique
serial numbers on
number,
each dollar bill. You
And
can
not only
trace it.
that, when most people use
Where's George?
dollars, they're using them. They're paying by like credit card or check or something. So U.S. dollars
That's true.
interpreted broadly to mean all the
Payment.
ACH and SWIFT payments.
Yeah. Okay.
That's 0% fungible.
yeah.
All right. Well, okay.
Because
I
it
meant
was
like
not private. It may
in
be
person.
fungible,
I meant like in person
They still have
transfers.
serial numbers on.
Yeah,
them.
but people aren't writing those down.
They could.
They
That's
could.
the whole thing.
They could.
They could.
They could. You're right.
But
All
then
right.
cash could also be banned too. Like
So
you could, like-
so
That's
as
true.
Mike and
They could
Mike
ban serial number.
as judges, who won this argument? If there was one, granted there might not have been one, but who won?
I think we all lost.
We
Okay.
all lost. Everybody lost.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good
No,
analysis.
it's good to have a discussion about
there-
this because
a good
Twitter
discussion
sucks.
is when everyone should be able to win in a discussion.
Paul-
I mean, I think we agree that we don't really disagree that much.
Paul,
Yeah.
I'm telling there is a school of thought out there that says that intrinsic value is BS. You don't need that
Yeah,
to be money.
He
In
was
fact,
saying that.
well,
Yeah.
no, he says that he does have intrinsic value.
Well, no,
but
he's
it's
saying it does, but he's saying
I
it
know,
doesn't
that's-
necessarily need to.
it doesn't need to have intrinsic value.
maybe
Think about it.
superfluous.
Well, and think about it. If it's
Maybe
something that you
superfluous intrinsic value, that's icing on the cake or something.
Yeah,
maybe, but
I don't claim that you need.
You
that
guys are
intrinsic
not
value. I
disagreeing
agree with
here.
you that I'm not sure that that's a requirement. The question is
No.
whether or not it does. It's like, do you need to have a convertible if you buy a car? No, you could. But I'm just saying, is Bitcoin a convertible? Yes or no? I think it is a convertible, actually.
I like the way Paul thinks. Bitcoin's a
You don't
convertible. We
need
can
to
end on that
have a
note if you want.
oh yeah, good discussion, guys.
Yeah,
I mean,
Bitcoin's a convertible. On to the next topic. Ben?
well, he has to go soon.
Oh, that's what I was saying. I want to hit
yeah,
up
we
a couple
want
more.
to go through some more stuff.
Paul, how much time?
I'm gonna, like-
how much more time
I'm
do you
gonna hang
have?
out for like 4 minutes.
4
Paul.
minutes, Paul.
Paul, you just
Hey,
got on.
Hey, Paul. Next week, I'm thinking. Do you want to unless we have something really huge happen? Do you want to just do a deep dive on drive chains next week?
Yeah, let's do that. That would be
Cool.
perfect.
Hey,
Well,
speaking
actually, I'm going to publish a bunch of crazy stuff.
of,
Hopefully
ooh,
next week.
crazy.
God willing,
Awesome.
but-
Well, good. You
Hey,
you can
Paul.
break it all down.
Paul, I want to ask you a question about drive chains. Actually, that I was thinking about this week. If we have a side chain and that we want faster block times to 10 minutes, if we had that on Bitcoin, how would you
Yes.
accomplish that?
Well, that would be weird. I mean, I'm not sure that might not be possible. I think it might be possible. What you would have to do is you'd like do some kind of alternating thing where you'd say these like you go like 1, 2, 1. Like if you want 5-minute blocks, you do like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You alternate back and forth between block types. So the 1 blocks would all be normal merge mine blocks, and then there'd be a second type. So after you mine that block, you get like the free, super low difficulty that would have like its own difficulty that would probably be very low because there probably wouldn't be very many. I don't know.
So in other words, you could either you would have to do like a secondary proof of work or like a proof of stake system in order to generate those other blocks. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, it would not be because the main chain is not going to be aware of any side chain stuff going on. So you couldn't ask it to do anything at all.
Okay.
So you get those normal amount of blocks, and then you would, yeah. So I'm not sure that the people who change the block time, I'm totally not sure that they really understand.
They understand the trade-off.
Oh no, I'm just saying there might be some kind of use case where you don't care about security as much, and you just really want the confirmation to be a little bit quicker.
I mean, if you don't care about the confirmation, then
like lightning kind of flips on.
No. Let's say I want half the security of Bitcoin, so I want blocks every 5 minutes. I think. But let's say that normally my business requirements say 1 block is fine. We're good on 1 confirmation, but we would actually also be okay with like half the amount of security on that because the risk is so low. So we would be we'd be okay with like a 5-minute block time equivalent for that confirmation. Like there might be a use case where it's like low risk or something.
Well, I don't know like what you would get out of it. I think it's better to just flip the thing, use Lightning or some kind of channel.
Okay.
And
fair
say
enough.
that it'll settle to the chain, and then everything will just happen instantly.
Okay,
so I think that's more reliable.
That's fair. I was just curious if there's any kind of thought.
Yeah, I think you're
that.
right that might not be possible. Like,
okay. Yeah, it might not.
I'm not exactly sure. I've given it some thought in the past, but I haven't given it a lot of thought.
Because you know the noobs are. I'm just trying to think if you really want to if you really want to capture
like, okay,
all the Ponzi's.
Yeah,
Paul,
you're completely right. People will be like,
if you want to capture all the Ponzi schemes,
use case.
if you want to capture every Ponzi use case and bring it to Bitcoin, you need that for the noobs.
I agree.
Faster block times covered.
Check.
Part of the permissionless innovation philosophy is that even the science philosophy is that even the dumbest ideas should have their day or whatever, should just be able to. So even if the people who don't understand what the purpose of the interblock time being 10 minutes is, they should be able to.
He's talking about the basic sidechain philosophy of being able to emulate any coin. And like for instance, we should be able to emulate using drive chains a Litecoin, which
in science you should be able to test any hypothesis, especially the ones that people think are ridiculous. So the most important ones. If someone wants to spend their time and something like that. So I think it would be nice to be able to kind of square that circle as you suggest, but I'm not sure that
Paul I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry, guys, I gotta go. Busy schedule today.
Paul.
Yes.
One more question.
Okay.
What's your thoughts on the paper that came out with Poon and Vitalik, the Plasma IO paper? Were you able to read it?
Yet.
The scalable autonomous smart contracts.
I'm not sure. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, so I don't know anything about it. But I do know a little about it because he mentioned it to me while we were talking on Pierre's thing on Wednesday.
Poon?
Or Vitalik?
I don't want to say anything.
Were you talking to Vitalik or Poon?
I was on Pierre's, had like an event.
All right, what do you know about it? And then I'll let you go.
I know that it uses MapReduce.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay.
All right, Paul. Thanks.
Hey, Paul.
All right, guys.
See you next week. We'll talk drive chains.
Good discussion.
Yep.
See you guys later. Thanks. All right.
All right, Paul Sports has left the building.
Continue without Paul.
Paul's dead. Paul's out of the building. All right, now it's just the men.
So
Richard Hart.
What about him? I mean, were we going to talk any more about Plasma? Because I don't know much about it.
Well, all right. So wait, hold on. So I'll tell you what I think it is. But all right, do you know what MapReduce is?
Yeah.
For like Hadoop. Or like the map, like that's how Hadoop kind of got famous, was because of like they made this
Hadoop
file system, and then they're able to
it's a
pretty much
Google file
aggregate
system.
and group data. I mean, that's essentially what
it was like the birth of big data. Was
Hey,
Hadoop.
would you consider like a MapReduce job similar to like a group by function in SQL?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, well,
that's the best way to explain it.
I don't know. It's not perfectly analogous. Well, you know.
Anyways, you're essentially manipulating and aggregating data with a MapReduce job against a Hadoop cluster, and that's how this MapReduce that I know of got popular. Now, I don't know if they're talking about MapReduce in the MapReduce sense as far as the Apache Hadoop suite of
I would
technologies.
imagine they are.
But essentially, what that means would be people are running probably MapReduce stuff and somehow incentivized to report the right stuff. I don't know, whatever. Is what I'm guessing.
MapReducible computation committed into Merkle proofs. See, I apologize.
It almost sounds like a chain point idea with MapReduce,
right?
Doesn't
it?
So
we have very limited knowledge of this. It's just
we're going to research this.
Yeah, we're going to look into it.
There's some things we need to research, and I would also say if you know about Plasma and want to leave a comment in this video or have us interview you, if you really feel like you understand, we might want to also try to get Poon on.
We'll get Poon on.
We can reach out to him.
Yeah, we'll reach out to him.
We'll reach out to Joseph Poon and see if he wants to talk about it, because I think that'd be a great
Joseph
interview.
Poon's an awesome guy. I'd love to interview him.
Yeah,
that'd
so
awesome.
maybe we can just get him on Blocktime and interview him next week about Plasma.
Cool.
Okay, because I really don't know much about it. I was hoping one of y'all researched it. Deep dive on it. Okay.
I just saw
Stay
it
away
pop
from
up.
ICOs.
I just saw it pop up. It's not an ICO, but it's. I don't think it is.
Plasma's not ICO.
No, I think it's just more of an idea right now.
Oh.
No, it's like I think it's a plugin for Ethereum.
Well, it's like an idea of like a second tier network, I think. For
like a tier
MapReduce
2.
jobs.
Interesting.
And they're talking about like child blockchains in the paper. I read over it a little bit.
So it's like probably like drive chains or side chains.
It sounds like an idea of like chain point with like a child drive chain with like MapReduce job.
Right. Well, that makes sense because
it
makes a little bit of sense.
I don't know if that's
I'd have
even
to
true.
read it. I don't get where they're going completely.
I want to talk about this guy who actually wanted to view us live today, Richard. What do you know about Richard? You said you knew a little bit about him.
No, well, I'm on Twitter, which
Richard
is,
Hart.
Yeah, which I should stay off. By the way, I troll a lot. That's not how I really am.
You're not doing a good
But
job.
it's amusing.
You're never supposed
I think
to
I do
admit,
a very good job.
You're never supposed to admit to trolling.
I'm not.
I don't know.
I think I do it. But no, I like what he says. Because he's on podcasts, I think himself. I've seen a couple.
He's got
He's
like
interesting
weird.
dude.
He's got like weird like self-help
Who is
kind
this
of
guy?
videos. They're not really like self-help. It's more
Hart?
like matter of fact videos.
This is Richard Hart.
Yeah,
I
like,
replied to him because he was asking about the feed.
So one thing I learned about this guy through Krista Rose interviewing him after the BU breakup, after Pepe Gate. And Chris went on to like interview random people. One of the people he interviewed was Richard Hart, and it just ended up being like some guy who seemed to be Bitcoin retired that really just is now trying to find purpose, which is to help other people live longer and like do the right things. And like
I think you should have him on. I think
maybe we should just
on.
interview him, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you haven't checked him out, check him out.
I don't like
he's
what
an interesting guy.
I don't like what
Yeah,
he
I've
posts.
never seen him, but yeah.
He's one of those. There's some people I think that when they go on Twitter,
what's his YouTube channel?
he posts things on Twitter that I really don't agree. Like everything he posts on there, I don't agree with. But when he's talking on podcasts, he's actually an interesting guy.
That is, to be clear, like he's like on the UASF small block side as opposed to you're on more of the big block side.
Playing
The
anarcho
debates.
socialist or something like that. Yeah.
I don't even know his like YouTube feed.
Well, can I comment on
Anyways.
kind of what we're talking about with Paul?
Maybe.
Oh, you want to talk
Economics
shit
of
Bitcoin.
about
Can you?
No,
his back?
I know he's not here. No, but I just want to say that. So the whole intrinsic value thing, I think is first of all, like I said, he's hung up on that. That the argument is,
I
hey,
think
guess
you're
what?
hung up on it.
No, you just no, all you have to say is, look, gold has this value that's outside of money, right? Which we can agree on, but that's not the value. It's not worth whatever $1,300 because of that. It's worth that because of other reasons. You can be money without having these intrinsic value. That's the argument. A lot of people
but he
say.
agreed with you when you said that.
I know. Well, he
I mean-
says that could be it.
I can't believe gold's only worth 1,300.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
That's crazy, dude.
What are we up to right now?
Dude,
so the price has been blowing up today.
Where are we at? We are at an all-time high.
We're at an all-time high, or we were. We're on Coinbase. I'm showing 36.58. It's down by like $30 or whatever.
But listen, if let's say Bitcoin
with Bitcoin Cash, we are at a $4,000.
That's
Bitcoin.
true, because you got to add Bitcoin Cash in there for
dude.
all
We're at a
$4,000
Bitcoin value, pretty much. That's kind of crazy.
If you bought more
Both
Bitcoin
forks,
Cash, you would have even more than that.
I don't have.
If you bought your,
I don't have enough Bitcoin to buy Bitcoin Cash.
So hold on. So if Bitcoin was a tangible coin, let's say it was used in medicine or something like that, right? It could have intrinsic.
What are
you even talking about,
no,
dude?
I'm just saying.
No, you're saying like really, like what if? Like I really have to use my imagination?
Yeah, use your imagination. Okay, we have this new technology. It's digital, but there's some weird. It could also.
Dude, you'd be the best at pumping an ICO. Are you sure you shouldn't be? You should be a spokesman of Patientory.
Well, this is the Satoshi example I told you about, the dull metal that's not really good for anything except you can magically whisk it across the
you guys gotta let me. You gotta let me finish because I'm basically saying that. Okay.
Well, yeah, I know.
We never let anyone finish.
Yeah, you don't. You don't. So anyway, let's say that it had this value that was used outside of money. Well, people might, let's say, keep it because they want to use it for the medical device or something like that. They would hoard it, right? Which affects the velocity, which is, in a sense, deflation, right?
No.
If you create a Bitcoin and you put it in your mattress forever, it's like that.
Wait,
Bitcoin never existed.
hold on. Oh, that's like the Schrodinger's cat example.
Well, you got the velocity reversed.
It's like you don't know it's not there, but you have it. And then when you check, it's not.
The higher the velocity,
properties of a wave.
The higher the velocity, the less the value, because you don't need as much to.
No, hold
perform.
on. You know how you just
quicker.
said, like, if you're going to use Bitcoin, like with medicine. I think Thomas and I were joking the other day where it's like everything is run by Ethereum smart contracts. So in order to to zap them, like to if they're having like a heart attack or their heart stops, what is it called when you
the defibrillator?
Yeah, whatever. It's like we didn't pay our gas bill. We're out at or we have to wait for that block to clear in order to save this guy's life.
Well,
when you go to proof of stake, you'll be able to live.
Anyways. No, I'm sure that's what you're talking about, right?
No,
look,
velocity of money is something that shouldn't be ignored. It is ignored, but it shouldn't be ignored. Okay, this is
right. But I mean, Bitcoin has an extremely high velocity of money, like extremely high.
Oh, what does that mean?
Extraordinarily high.
I mean, that's relative, right?
Well, yeah. Versus like in any type of in-person cash transaction, you know what I mean? So anything other than an in-person cash transaction, it's ridiculously slow compared to Bitcoin.
No. That's not velocity. Velocity means
it's money moving around.
Yeah, it's not how fast it moves, though.
Yeah, but how fast it moves depends on how long it takes a transaction, because that's how many times it cycles over. So the longer it takes to transfer.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. But I think we're not at that point yet. We're not making that many transactions.
Well, what I'm saying, no, we're not. But what I'm saying, the theoretical velocity of Bitcoin is insane, because you're talking about settlement of 60 minutes, right? And some of these other coins are way faster, because you can have, like with proof of stake in theory, settlement instantly, and same thing with Lightning Network too. You could have instant settlement effectively. It's not settlement, but enough to where it could be respent, right? So, so the velocity of Bitcoin is like insane in theory, yeah.
Okay, well, that's a little bit separate though. So when I think of velocity, I think of someone. Let's say you print a coin or a dollar, right? Let's say you have a machine in your bedroom and you start printing cash. Okay, you're increasing the supply. So a lot of people would say increasing the supply will decrease the price. You're introducing new money, steals value from the existing money.
That's not velocity, but yeah.
You guys introduced. Yeah, it's not. So that is supply. So the velocity is if I take that money that I just printed out of thin air and put it in my mattress, there's no velocity. So that price decrease will never come to fruition, because
that's not price decrease. Remember, because velocity, actually price is inverse to velocity. The more velocity something has, the lower the price, because there's less you need to transact. It's an inverse correlation.
So what are you, stupid?
No, it's okay. So in your example, if you take money out of the money supply,
I need one of these after that.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it doesn't really affect velocities. It doesn't really affect velocity so much as it affects supply. That's what it affects.
What affects supply? What are you talking about?
You're taking money out of the available supply, the pool of liquidity, right? It affects liquidity of the larger thing. If Bitcoin is stored permanently or destroyed or semi-permanently, you know what I mean? Because there's no difference in Bitcoin, right? It could be like just cold storage for a long time, or it could be gone forever. You don't know. There's no way of telling. But yeah, that's just money taken out of the pool of liquidity. So I wouldn't. I know what you're saying, but that's not velocity. You know, it's a different argument, different thing. Yeah, but that removes Bitcoin from the pool of liquidity, which actually increases the value of the remaining Bitcoin because it takes it off the market.
No. Well, first of all, this okay. We need like an economics guy in here because there is an equation for this.
We just had him.
Has price and velocity and everything.
Yeah, Paul Stortz is like a Princeton economics guy.
Well, yeah, and he'll probably be able to tell. I mean, look, the thing is, when you're talking about, so you can increase new money, and no one actually knows about it, right? But when you start spending that money, that's going to increase the velocity of the total money supply. No. Yeah, because you're spending it. Velocity means that that's what that means.
Velocity is how fast it moves.
No, it's how much it moves. It's measuring the movement of money. So if you print something and it has no movement because you put in your mattress, right? The velocity is zero. It's almost like it never even came into existence.
You're talking about the magnitude, right? In the whole vector thing, the vector equation.
Yeah, well,
direction and magnitude is vector.
So theoretically, you could spend that money, and then that person that you just gave those dollars, you just create out of thin air. They could store that in their mattress, you know, and then the velocity goes to zero. But in general,
this is
anyway.
Blood orange.
Look, this is like 13 proof hop hammer, and that's neon gypsy.
Oh man, I thought it was open.
So what I'm trying to say, if it has intrinsic value, that is going to affect the velocity because you might just hold on to that, and people are holding on to Bitcoin anyway because the value is going up. I mean,
dude, all right, we get it.
So there's a good Reddit post that talks about, you know,
you're right.
In the future, basically, people are just going to have underground bunkers, and if you have like one Bitcoin. Everybody who has
you're
one
guaranteed
Bitcoin,
one bunker.
You're going to have an underground bunker, and you're going to have guards, but that's it because you're not actually going to use Bitcoin. You're not going to spend it because it goes up in value so much.
Well, I don't buy that.
So how are you going to pay your guards?
So if it had
exactly, how are you going to pay your guards?
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's wrong, right?
But the guards' children inherit. It's going to be like kings, like in Game of Thrones.
The guards will be DAOs. They'll be robots.
Well, by the time, yeah, I mean, it's like. Why do people worship the king and like give their whole life and their whole family's 10 generations of like worship to this like lord, right? It's going to be the same thing.
People want to be controlled, man.
Yeah, so it's like if I have a Bitcoin, I can own like a castle.
Honestly, yeah. You know what's funny about this? Because when I first started learning about Bitcoin, my basic and fundamental worry was that, well, shit, if this shit takes over, it would basically lead to feudalism.
That's what I'm saying.
Basically, you're going to have a lord.
No. That was the word. That was actually the idea, the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
We'll end up in a feudalism kind of society or whatever.
So how much do you guys remember about the feudalism, like how it worked, right?
I mean, I watch Game of Thrones every week.
Yeah.
What do we remember from when we lived in it?
No, from like school.
From Monty Python,
so
the Holy Grail.
So what I remember, so the feudalistic society, everything is owned by the king, 100%.
Come on, Ben, you got this. We believe in you.
And the king has his vassals, and so. All right.
All right, so Mike's going to try now.
You do it. I'm talking. So the king has his vassals, and they're the landowners. So the king actually owns the land, but he's dedicated it to these people, and he does that in return for patronage. So they send him knights to protect the realm or go to war or whatever. So he gets soldiers, he gets grain, he gets all the shit, right? Just for giving them out a parcel of land. And so they take their parcel of land, which are these huge tracts, and then they divvy it up and divide it up to them, and they make the same deal with people under them. And they, so it's like basically feudalism is a giant pyramid scheme, basically.
Yeah.
And then it gets down to the point where, you have like 3 sons and you have a tract of land and you just like give it, you have 2 choices. It's either divide it equally, which in case it dwindles down to nothing, or you give it all to the firstborn.
And in Game of Thrones, it's gold. It's the Iron Bank with gold.
Yeah. I mean, but see, that's the whole thing. Is the feudalistic society was built on gold?
When you go fiat,
that's how it worked.
When you go fiat, you get crazy conspiracies. You don't know who's in control. But with feudalism, you know who's in control.
So, but
Right?
you know what? Maybe there's less war if we had that kind of situation. There's more war in our fiat central
Dude, you
banking
must not be
system.
watching Game of Thrones.
Dude, that bitch seriously, man.
Dude, I mean,
Shit.
we go back to Bitcoin or gold as a standard and feudalism. We're gonna have dragons and shit flying around, dude.
So
All
I don't know. I don't seriously think we'll go back to like some sort of neo feudalism. I don't think that'll happen. But I mean, it's interesting to think about.
Give it
Well,
enough time, Mike.
you're talking about theoretically if Bitcoin takes over.
Well, yeah, I'm always talking about theoretically if Bitcoin takes over. How
So
long
what
have
if-
you known me?
So what if it's something else? So do you think that are you Bitcoin maximalist? There's not going to be any other coin that
I'm semi Bitcoin maximalist a lot more than Mike
I'm a
Casey.
Bitcoin probabilist.
I'm probably the most Bitcoin maximalist out of all of us.
I don't know. Like, yeah, you
So you
would
don't
be,
think
you
there?
would be.
So you think 100 years from now it's going to be Bitcoin?
I don't think
It's not
100
gonna
years
be-
from now Bitcoin will exist.
That's not a Bitcoin maximalist.
100 years. from
No,
now,
no, I disagree. I think
Well-
a Bitcoin maximalist is just that a lot of these alternative blockchains and other things don't have really. There's no need for
So
them.
what's going to happen 100 years from now then?
it'll be
Probably-
replaced
we'll
by a
probably
new
won't-
whatever.
Dude,
We'll be
100
dead?
years from now is so far in the future. We might not even have the same idea
So-
of like this kind of blockchain money.
I'm a Kurzweilian too, so like 100 years from now, we'll all be in the singularity and
Yeah,
money won't be a
dude.
thing. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Singularity.
oh, you got to read it.
Come on, man.
It's-
You've
it's
at least
awesome.
heard of it. It's like the Matrix, kind of.
Basically, kind of, not really, but
I
whatever.
mean, it's, just think about everyone being like part of the same intellect. Mind.
Oh, like we're all connected to like a hub.
No. It'd take a couple hours, but
All right, okay. Well, anyways.
What's
All
the
right,
next topic?
all right. So, so I did talk about this a little bit before the podcast. What do y'all hear about 10x?
10x.
First off, they have a coin. I don't know
Not
what it's
10
called.
bricks, 10x.
I think it's called 10x. I'm not sure.
It's like 10x, like 10 times. 10x.
10x.
Yeah, it is. It's 10x.
Is 19th on CoinMarketCap right now, right above Zcash and right
Holy
under BitShares.
crap.
What's the volume?
It's PAY. That's its sign.
72 million today.
PAY is 10x. Okay, I heard somebody talking about that.
So-
So you're a
on the-
Bitcoin maximalist, but you're talking about
Yeah, I think this is
this
fascinating.
ICO.
Oh, I think all this stuff is fascinating. I want to
Why?
talk about a lot of them.
Why? Why is it fascinating?
Because why do they have value?
It's the pump and dump, man.
No, but to understand,
most of them.
but to understand why people buy into stuff and to understand people and what people go off of and what people find interesting is fascinating to
Do
me.
you remember when you had all these script-based coins that came out? It was Litecoin, except they would change one tiny thing, or they'll have like
Back
the-
in 2013 or 2014?
yeah,
Yeah,
2013, 2014 time
yeah.
period.
I remember most
And
of
look,
them.
people
It's
were
like-
excited, and it was interesting. Look, people go on there, they spend their time and energy to create the 4,000 plus
But
currencies out there.
you're literally saying, but what you're saying is I'm not allowed to be interested in this stuff.
Well, I just think it's kind of a waste of time, right?
Are
Especially
you-
if you're a
So
Bitcoin
that-
what's
that,
your
uh,
maximalist stance? Are you? What
I
are you?
think that 100 years from now, it's probably not going to be Bitcoin.
Okay, well,
mean,
that's
It could be Bitcoin
that's-
Cash.
Oh my god! All right. But I'm trying to say is I don't think I mean 100 years from now it might be
Well-
very likely that proof of work blockchains do not exist at all.
No, I think there will be proof of work.
That's okay. I'm
Okay.
just saying it might be.
I'm a
I mean,
proof
I'm
of
saying-
work maximalist.
I honestly don't care to speculate on 100 years.
But
in the
let's
future.
talk about
That's-
5
No,
years
no,
from
no,
now.
hold
10
on.
I'll
years
be
from now.
dead
Who cares?
or part of the singularity by then. So
So I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say it's not going to be Bitcoin. I just think if it is Bitcoin, it's going to be different than what it is now. Probably
Well,
a lot
that
different than
probably
what it is
goes
now.
But
without
think about
saying.
this: the internet hasn't been around for what
20
really
years.
I mean,
well,
we're-
in its
we're-
current form,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
okay.
you know,
in its current form, like 10 years, really.
yeah. Well, with mobile and whatnot, but I mean,
I mean-
I would say the mid
I
90s.
mean, we're talking like
Yeah, the internet still exists. What are you talking about? That's a terrible example.
well,
The
no,
internet's still
no,
here.
right.
Oh,
But
no,
he's
I'm
just
trying to
saying it's
say
only
is-
been around for like 20 years,
and we're just talking
So
about a
you can't
specific
say-
thing.
Well, let me tell you why this is important, right? Because when you create something, so if you went back in time, we talked to Satoshi, we would say, hey, look, that whole 1 megabyte limit that we're put, that's a terrible idea. Like, listen to those guys that are saying that maybe we should have it. It's like the clockwork God, right?
So
where you set everything in motion, and then a million years from now, you know that it will work because you can kind of predict what's going to happen.
If you look at like the U.S. Constitution, it's not. The
but
basic is, but it gets amendments.
Yeah,
so I mean,
but they have an amendment
changes.
process in place.
Who?
The founders put an amendment process in place. You need
you're talking about the
states.
Constitution.
We have a bit process.
Yeah, the bit process.
We have a Luke Dash Jr. centralized bit process.
It's one guy, and
I can't
but yeah.
stand. Yeah.
No, I mean, the core developers do reach a consensus amongst themselves, but they don't really take outside input from stuff. But
no,
yeah.
but I'm just talking about predict. So Luke Jr. did. I'll give him credit for this, right? So he has this idea of like going down to, I think, 300,000,
300 kilobytes,
300 kilobytes or whatever.
Well, that was what he proposed.
But it increased. Still wants an increase though.
Yeah,
his increase is based on. Do you know what is it based on?
Bandwidth.
Yeah,
like historically,
that's
how
just my
much
guess.
like bandwidth? I guess the efficiency goes up or the capacity goes up. At least, but this is why I'm getting credit because he's actually predicting. Hey, look, because 20 years,
17%, right? Is what he put.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So in 20 years, look, we're not going to have this problem with bandwidth. I guess is what he's saying, which I don't think is a problem. But if that is a problem, hey, we're going to account for that 20 years from now.
So it's going to be so
didn't
funny.
Even do that.
It's going to be so funny. Let's say later on our bandwidth and everyone's got like terabit upload and download and stuff, and we make the blocks bigger, and all the big blockers get bigger blocks, and they're going to be like, yeah, see, we told you this was going to be so much better. And then all the core devs are like, yeah, but it's just now possible. It's going to be like a weird kind of like, I told you so moment that is like unjustified.
Well, the whole thing about
you don't like me saying that?
Like, you're okay. I agree. When you try to predict the future, right? I mean, can you really predict that bandwidth is going to go up by 17%
Jack Shaw
every year?
We need a
no,
futurist
no.
here. A technology futurist.
But here's the thing. So when Satoshi, he allowed that 1 megabyte, by the way, there are people who were saying, hey, like we should probably do something. Like it can't just be at a
we
cap.
had to at that point. I mean,
Yeah, but a way to increase it. So he said, Satoshi said, right? She. I'm sorry.
We've already defined Satoshi as a woman. Isn't that right, Mike?
That's right. She.
no comment.
So I guess the mindset was at that point, hey, we'll increase it before we get there. I guess he didn't predict that it would be any kind of debate over it. I hate to think that he said, oh, well, it'll be worth billions of dollars, so who cares, right? I probably didn't think that way.
He said of the change, it can be phased in like this, and he described a flag day. He did. He described a flag day upgrade is what he described. When he said it could be phased in like this, you do it ahead of time. Garzik just went ahead and changed it. And then Satoshi was like, no, don't do that. It's like you have to give people advance notice.
Garzik changed it to 1 megabyte?
Yeah, he did, and it was rolled back. No, he changed it up. He upped
it went up. Okay,
and but I mean, it wasn't. It
probably wasn't rolled back. It probably just wasn't merged.
Yeah, it wasn't merged. Yeah. I mean, but that was just a pull request Garzik did. But I mean, that was a very, very different scenario than, hey, blocks are full, and transaction counts are limited. We're getting more and more adoption, and it's limiting the fundamental use case of Bitcoin as described in the white paper. And see, that's
true.
That's what it all boils down to. It's because what do you define Bitcoin as? You're saying, is Bitcoin going to be here in 100 years? That all depends on how you define Bitcoin.
No, that's true. Because if I define Bitcoin as SHA-256 proof of work, essentially, and SHA-256 becomes compromised or way too centralized, and you need to change the algorithm or something weird.
Yeah, but Bitcoin will still exist.
No, not even that.
So it depends how you define Bitcoin.
Say Bitcoin as it exists now, whatever. So we forked once. So say one or the other fork dies, and then it forks again. One or the other fork dies, or some stay around, and those fork, or those fork, or those fork. In 100 years, Bitcoin may not look anything like it looks now, but the underlying value of if you bought a Bitcoin way back when, yeah, you'll still have that.
Right.
I
still have my private key, and I can access it.
If you define it that way, it depends. Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the way I would define it.
Bitcoin will become like Dogecoin. Dogecoin will become like Ethereum, and Ethereum will become Ripple, and Ripple will die. That's what will happen in 100 years.
I think that proof of work is here to stay. It's not going to go away. I think Ethereum going to proof of stake is going to be a terrible thing. I shouldn't.
No. It's a great thing for Ethereum Classic.
Maybe, or there's another fork. I think there should be another fork. There should be an Ethereum proof of work chain split.
So let's
That's
talk a little bit about the whole SegWit 2x thing now, because now as we knew it would happen,
SegWit did get put in, and we can start our
SegWit's
first
locked
SegWit
in.
transactions. What, a couple weeks from now?
Yeah. I don't know exactly when it activates, but I don't know. I'm curious to see how many people are actually going to use SegWit transactions right off the bat.
I'm
Because
sending
I don't know how many wallets support SegWit transactions yet. And what's more is, honestly, I'm kind of concerned because do wallets allow you to differentiate whether or not you're sending SegWit transactions? I mean, some wallets I'm sure will, but like the core client probably won't. It'll probably just default to SegWit and won't let you do anything else.
I think about it too.
Why would you say the core client wouldn't? I would imagine the core client would have a lot of options because it's the core client.
Well, they have whatever options they want to put in there.
I guess.
I mean, and they want to push SegWit, so why would they let you do anything?
Because it's
I
it's all based on the user. Why would the user use a SegWit transaction versus not? Because it'd be cheaper.
Well, can you configure the core client to accept a higher block size, or you can't? They lock stuff down. They
No, I'm just thinking. Ultimately, it's going to be user driven on whether or not. Because someone can make an app change.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
if users want.
That's what I'm saying. But I was talking
not.
specifically about the core client, just because of the ethos of those guys.
Okay.
But yeah, there will be tons of wallets out there.
It's probably going to be like the default version is like, hey, don't you want to pay a lesser transaction fee? And then you could probably.
What's a lesser transaction?
Well,
fee?
there's a discount on SegWit transactions.
The discount on the transaction fee?
Yeah, it's a discounted. It's
I thought it was a discount on the space.
The input
Right,
signing
the
was
same
going to
thing.
take up less space, so it's going to be put somewhere else. Which ultimately, who's paying for that, Mike?
Oh, geez, I
just-
forget how that's all done, but
It's-
yeah, it's a 3/4 discount or something like that.
No, but
75%.
if you think about it though,
Yeah.
since that data still needs to be stored, there shouldn't be any discount on fee. The fees should just rise, and you should be writing less bytes. Where now everyone's kind of forced to use SegWit transaction because if you do like a normal transaction, you might have to actually pay more than you were paying.
Well, see, but here's what I wanted to get back to is like,
Does that make no sense, Ben?
Well, look, it doesn't, because you can make a normal transaction no matter what, right?
No,
So-
it depends on the client you use and if it allows you to. I mean, if you seek out a client that allows you to choose, then yes, you can.
So existing clients, though,
Well,
Depends.
if you don't upgrade it, right?
Well, it depends. I mean,
dude,
So everybody has to upgrade SegWit.
No, dude. There will be clients out there that will do both or the old ones only.
right. Or the new ones only. The client
Or the new
it'll
ones
just
only.
default to that.
Yeah, you'll always have options to send a normal
You'll
transaction.
always you will like you're saying you can use an existing wallet. Now they may not keep that wallet up to date. It may break for any number of other reasons and just not work anymore. They could take a server down or whatever. So it's not like, oh, it'll always work forever. You can't say that about any wallet. Actually, I would be very careful about saying that.
Except Electrum.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
I'm just kidding.
But you will still be able to make a normal legacy transaction, if you will.
If you're, I mean,
And
you
that
can
could be
craft
cheaper
one.
than-
You can craft one
Cheaper
manually
than-
if you want.
Cheaper than sending
but
a SegWit.
No,
No.
it'll be much more.
No,
expensive.
it'll either be the same price or more expensive.
Yeah, it'll be more expensive than sending a SegWit transaction because of the discount.
And when I
that's
say the
written
same
into SegWit.
price, that's like weird situations where it's like free.
They did that to encourage adoption and take up of SegWit.
Yeah, but Mike, if you think about it, if let's say every single transaction is a SegWit transaction, the fee actually just becomes more expensive for the on-chain
Well, they're bigger,
bytes.
but I mean, but
because they still have to store that data, or at least some nodes will.
Well,
And
I
those
mean,
nodes won't want to store that info for free, right?
Well, no. So the fee doesn't have to do with the nodes. Has nothing to do with the nodes. The fee is how much the miners assess, right?
For
It has
just
nothing to do with
not
the
a
nodes.
payment channel. You're just
Right,
talking about
right,
sending
right.
a transaction.
So yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, just transactions. It's
That's true.
only the miners. that
miners
assess the
choose
fee.
what the nodes hold,
Correct. Right.
which is
The
kind of funny.
The miners,
Yeah.
and that's where this whole thing. Oh, all miners do is order transactions. Well, yeah, that and secure the fucking blockchain. They do that too.
I'm glad you
But
said that. I agree.
but yeah, I don't know. That whole thing has always bothered me. But yeah, it's not in a proof of work system. You need the work. That's kind of the whole deal.
It's the security mechanism.
Right. I mean, if not, go have fun with proof of stake.
Well,
I'm sure
Maybe
it'll
we
be
should talk
fine
about
as the
that.
users.
Can I talk about that?
What?
What?
I mean, we've talked about proof of stake. I personally am more like I'm a huge proof of stake skeptic, right? But not to say, hey, if this works for certain use cases, I'm still open to see it work. But I also argue that this is no better than private systems with using private keys to keep a network secure. Versus a lot of stake whales.
I would say
holding
it's less verifiably trustless.
I would also say if you want to do a hostile takeover of a company, proof of stake is perfect because they can just buy you outright. Versus hacking you and taking your private keys or buying ownership.
Well, they could hack you, and take your private keys, and then use it to buy you.
Yeah.
No. You know what I mean? Like if you want to, I don't know. I just thought that was a kind of funny idea with proof of stake.
I kind of want to talk about, because I think what's going on, the huge debate, the whole purpose behind SegWit, right? And I don't know if you agree with me, but
I don't.
But okay. But it is basically like a protest against the miners. Fire the miners. Right, they have too much power control, centralized, all that kind of stuff.
I wouldn't
say SegWit per se. I know what you're saying. You're saying about the implementation of SegWit as a soft fork.
That is only if ASIC boost is like a real thing. With
no, this was before ASIC boost.
No, I'm just saying
that's true. It was before ASIC boost. ASIC boost, I believe, is a real thing.
No,
but
why? Wait, that made no sense, Ben. Why would trying to get SegWit in be a middle finger to the miners?
Because all the fees, your fees are going to go when you go through a payment channel to the nodes that are running these payment channels.
All right, first off, I don't believe Lightning Network will reduce fees on Bitcoin at all.
Okay, I don't know what to tell you.
Because I think demand will go up and meet the threshold of where it's at. I think fees will always just be there. No matter what.
But they're not going to the miners. They'd be going to the ones who are running the network.
No, on-chain fees. I'm not talking about off-chain fees. Off-chain, I think the fee total will rise, but I think the on-chain fees will stay the same.
But
I think demand will go up.
It doesn't matter. If I send a transaction to someone...
Because if demand stays the same, then what you're saying is right.
Well, okay.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the price of the fees. I'm talking about taking the fee. Right now, the fees are all going to the miners, right?
Yep. And you're saying instead they'd be going to like hubs that are running the Lightning Network.
But
I'm saying that because that is all possible, that efficiency is going to get eaten up by more clearing and creation of payment channels on chain.
So here, hold on. Remember, we're talking about 3 different scenarios here now. Remember, we have 3 Bitcoins coming up, right? So let's just put the one fork, the huge fork that just happened, the Bitcoin Cash fork away for a second.
It wasn't really a fork, in my opinion.
Well, I think
it was just a UTXO copy and paste.
No, I think it was definitely a fork.
To me, it's not
a split.
It's not a split.
If at any point in time,
a fork is like in the Bitcoin sense.
If at any point in time it garners majority hash rate, it will become Bitcoin.
Okay, I did forget about that.
Right. So it's a fork.
So I guess you're pretty much right. Then it is a fork.
Yeah, it's a fork. I mean, it's a minority fork. It's a shitty little.
Wait. Let me ask you a question. If it becomes the Bitcoin, what happens to Bitcoin?
It won't go down to zero.
No. What happens to them?
Well, it's just a minority Bitcoin. I mean, it's the same thing as BCC
no.
right now.
BTC, I don't just lose all my BTC.
So I kind of like Paul's definition. He said it's not a fork unless it wins. Well, it doesn't have to win immediately. It could win down the road and still win. Right?
Mike, what? Okay, so if BCC or BCH becomes the majority chain, it's not like I lose my Bitcoin. There are 2 competing chains now.
No. You don't lose your Bitcoin at all.
And I think it will be a race to the top.
So to me,
both will go up in value.
No, to me, Mike,
unless you sold.
No, hold on. To me,
you lose it.
To me, BCH is just an altcoin.
It is an altcoin. Now
it can't be Bitcoin even if it has majority hash.
I think it's a fork. I think it's a legit fork.
It'll just become the new de facto chain.
It would be an altcoin and not a fork if they change the hashing
really
algo.
Weird.
If they change the hashing algo, it would not be a fork.
Because Mike, you're kind of right. Because like if it has the most work done on SHA-256,
right,
then it kind of is Bitcoin.
It's like that's the definition.
It's weird.
That's weird. Bitcoin's definition doesn't really have a definition. It's the most valid. Okay, the most work done on a valid chain. Who determines what the fuck's a valid chain? There's no arbiter of what is a valid chain. Everybody determines on their own.
Paul Sports.
There's no individual validator that says that is Bitcoin. No, everybody has the right to say, I think this is Bitcoin. No.
It already split. So there's no question about like what the valid chain is. It already has its own chain.
Right. But I'm saying Bitcoin. the one you call Bitcoin
Yeah, you
is
just change the name. You can.
no.
There's no trademark, right?
The definition of Bitcoin is
Doesn't Mark Karpelès own some kind of trademark with
actually
Bitcoin?
yes, there is a trademark on
So-
Bitcoin. It was owned by Mt. Gox and the Bitcoin Foundation. Yeah, there's
Well, he's in
trademark.
jail, so it
It's
doesn't matter.
trademarked.
No,
Does it
no,
still
no. He's
apply?
not in jail.
No,
he's good.
he's out.
Oh, that's
He's
right.
good.
He is out.
Anyway, but all that effect from the side, it's what Bitcoin is, whatever we define it as, and the way it's defined in the white paper is literally the longest proof of work chain, right? So right now, Bitcoin is the longest proof of work chain, which is BTC.
Well, you also
Yeah,
you also have to
change.
go off the difficulty or the algorithm of SHA-256 because
Right? Yeah,
the longest chain is algorithm specific or
and
sets of algorithms
here's the
specific.
thing, though. Too, I would there is a scenario that I would call something that forked off of SHA-256 Bitcoin if it forked away, and that would be the scenario if another more major rule was violated, like the currency supply. So if
Which I think will change
I-
eventually.
well, no, I think
I
miners.
don't.
Here's the thing.
You
I
can't,
think it's,
you can't call it Bitcoin if it's over 21
exactly.
million.
You can't call it Bitcoin, but that doesn't mean it's not going to change. So what I think is going to happen inevitably is eventually the mining subsidy is going to erode to the point where miners say, yeah, this isn't worth it enough. We should try to do a fork and pay ourselves more, right? So then they'll do that.
I don't think that'll happen.
Well, no. I think it eventually will. I think it's almost inevitable. But what'll happen in response to that is a UASF-like thing where everybody will say, fuck that. No, you're
Okay.
changing a fundamental property of Bitcoin. We're going to switch over to another algo. And, and then that's what we're doing now. Sorry, you tried to change the rules. Because otherwise you're susceptible to a minor attack and they literally could force you to change the rules.
So in other words, 100 years. So Bitcoin will be 21 million cap. And then 100 years from now, UASF will actually be an increase to the limit size because all the peasants and plebs,
Yeah, they want
Plebs. Yeah.
I reversed the E and the L. No, the plebs will be like, we want a more fair distribution. We're going to make it 42 million.
Well, it's not the plebs. It'd be the miners. See, because that's
No,
the thing.
I'm like joking. Like, who would want that the most? But
Let me say that. Just imagine that we didn't have, like, it was just cryptocurrencies. There's no dollar or anything like that.
I'm already there.
Yeah, exactly. Everything is priced in Bitcoin, and you have something like this that happens,
Yeah.
right? A fork, like that would just be chaos.
Well,
You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
these things resolve themselves because guess what? On either side of the fork, you still have your fucking money. So what do you care? Unless you
What is
sell
money
shit.
though? Your money is like right now. It's fine because
money is
look,
whatever
you hold on to
people will
Bitcoin.
accept.
Yeah, but you hold on right now. It's great, right? If Bitcoin forks because then you get another coin. You just cash it out, or you hold on to it and it goes up in value.
Right.
But imagine if like there was no such thing as converting into dollars or anything like that.
Right.
So you have this Bitcoin that's everybody accepts as money, and then all of a sudden, like there's this new currency.
Right. And
It would
people
just be
have to
chaos.
decide if they want to accept that or not.
Yeah,
They have to decide. Do you want to
Yeah,
accept that or not?
it's a bigger decision at that point, I would say.
See, but yeah, I know it is a bigger decision. That's definite. But I mean, that doesn't make it like utter chaos, right? Because general consensus will form around, hey, this thing is fucking money now, right? If something dies or goes, everybody will move to the next one. So hold on. Let's talk about the world reserve currency, right? Has it always been the U.S. dollar? No, it used to be the British pound, right?
back
And before that,
back
it was
wait.
Spain. Before that
hold
was
on, hold on.
Portugal. Before that, it's like
Hold it. Let's talk a little history. When did it really transfer to the U.S. dollar?
it's the world reserve currency. I think it's been that way since like the last 60 years or so.
Okay, but would you
No, I think
also?
it was early
So-
1900s?
So yeah, but look it up.
Oh, but isn't it subjective because there is
No.
real world
Yeah.
reserve currency?
no,
It's
no,
only,
there's like a literal world reserve currency.
I
yeah.
don't think that's true
Yeah, it's
because
what,
I'm pretty sure North Korea doesn't see the U.S. dollar as the world reserve
well, so
currency.
it's not. It's okay. It's
subjective
a
to
named.
the-
It's a named thing. It's not a
No, but-
law.
But what I'm
well,
trying to
actually,
say
it
is
a law.
no,
It's legal.
hold on. What I'm trying to say
International
is China is doing stuff with the yuan or whatever,
Right.
And they're pricing stuff in yuan instead of U.S. dollars now, and it's
Right.
Like, I've heard about that.
Right, but that just because you're the world reserve currency does not mean that nobody can use any other currency for stuff. It doesn't mean you can't transact at any other currency. It just means this is the currency that is internationally recognized.
I mean, pretty much the only reason I thought the U.S. dollar was considered the world reserve currency is because we went to war and made like petrol, like
The
Petrodollar.
the
Yeah.
petrodollar shit.
I think basically what our currency currently is backed by our military.
That's the highest currency. The Bretton Woods Agreement, blah blah blah. So look at just Google world reserve currencies, historical.
I mean, it's pretty much because it's the strongest
That's
currency.
right. No. Google world reserve currency historical.
All right.
How do we get on this topic? But
Because we're talking about money.
Because we're talking about money.
Bitcoin could be a reserve.
Well,
basically.
that's what I'm saying is how we got on this topic is you're saying, well, what happens if we have a fork and it changes? Well, the world reserve currency has changed many times in history.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it's like that happens.
no.
You
So-
know?
Right. No, I was saying theoretically. 'Cause
You have to have the reserve currency of a foreign nation pretty much pegged to the other currency. That's what makes it a world currency.
So say history. There you go.
yeah. But
it's pretty
Look at that
subjective,
chart.
though. What
Look
does
that up.
pegged mean?
okay.
This is what I'm talking about.
Or
does
I
pegged mean?
kind of made that
Are we
up.
sharing the screen?
No.
Oh, okay.
But
So yeah, this was.
but obviously Portugal. What the hell is this? Portugal?
Yeah, Portugal, Spain, the Netherlands, France.
Wait, Portugal
Britain.
used to
Yeah, they
be
used
the
to have
world
the world
reserve
reserve
currency
currency.
back in 1400.
Yeah, this is a thing.
What the hell?
Yeah,
Portugal?
and you know what's fucked up is it lasts about 80
80
to
years.
100 years, and we're toward
Wait
the end.
a minute.
We're toward the end of
All
the
right,
80
let me,
to 100
let me
years
share the
of
screen
the
with the
US
people.
dollar.
Wait. Let me share the screen with the viewers.
Yeah.
This is,
You've never seen this before? Yeah.
So I said theoretically, right? So what I think another theory is that Bitcoin is used as a reserve. So we still have a dollar, we still have won, yen, and everything, but basically central banks are
All right,
using
I'm
Bitcoin
showing-
Maybe.
to back their current.
I'm
it's
showing
possible.
but you can
I'm
use it
showing
as
the
payment,
screen with the.
Well, you can do both.
Yeah, hold on.
hold on,
This
hold on,
is
Ben.
a-
Let me tell. This is super interesting.
Yeah, I know.
All right, so and granted, what I said, I still believe what I said is true. This is still a subjective kind of idea, but this is probably truth to enough people where it's true.
Read what this says eventually. you
All
know,
right, so
read-
in other words,
the definition.
Portugal for 80 years was the world reserve currency. Then Spain had it for 110 years. The Netherlands had it for 80 years. Freaking Netherlands!
The
Isn't that where
Netherlands.
Braveheart's
Well,
from?
no. Think about this.
Ireland and
This is the Dutch East
tulips.
India Company, right? They were the Dutch East India Company. They ruled for that entire period
All
of
right.
time.
The French had it for 95 years. Britain had it for 105 years. Their reign apparently stopped at 1920. I
Yep,
guess when we
early
started
20th
the
century, like you
Roaring
said.
20s.
Yep.
Now, let's see. French Revolution, Napoleonic Wars.
So this is the events during the transition.
Okay.
To
So in other words, why?
so during the French Revolution, France lost the national reserve currency because they had a fucking revolution and they cut all the aristocracy's heads off.
Yeah, the socialists won.
Wait a minute. So we've had it
Killed
for just under 100 years.
Yeah.
We've had it literally for 90,
Well, and guess what?
97 years.
Guess what the average span?
Wait,
of,
we've had it for 97 years.
Yeah.
So
That's
we're
why you
literally
should
on
buy
the
Bitcoin.
verge.
well,
Oh my god!
yes, you've never seen this before.
That's why
No.
Bitcoin sign guy was there.
Yeah.
He was warned. This is why he
When
read the
Janet
same
Yellen,
thing.
when Janet Yellen
Yeah.
was, oh my god, dude, this is insane.
He goes.
Yeah.
He
Well,
knows all.
Wait,
about
wait.
this.
So who's going to grab it after us? China or Bitcoin?
No, Bitcoin. We're not
Bitcoin.
going to have nation states.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
no
no,
nation
no,
states.
no. Most people think it's going to be China. That's the current
I mean, I'm
conventional
thinking
wisdom.
China, but
but-
their reign might be
But I mean,
pretty small compared to
well,
all these other ones.
well,
maybe.
no. I mean, it may not end up going to a nation state. It honestly may not.
Exactly.
It might be a decentralized.
Yeah, it might end
Look.
up being Bitcoin or something
Yeah.
else, and then that'll reign for 100 years.
Yeah, Ben, and then 100 years from now, it'll be something else.
Bitcoin Cash.
So yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting piece of history because most people don't understand what. So now, I mean, you don't have to look it up now, but and I don't know it that well, but you should actually look and see what defines this as the world reserve, global reserve
Right.
currency.
So
Yeah,
It's what everybody.
subjective.
It's what everybody
subjective.
has to hold in order to fund their own banks,
True.
right? So
Yeah.
in their central bank, you have to hold this amount of this in order to fund your own bank.
There's a lot of
otherwise,
literature and
otherwise
talk
they'll
about it,
say,
yeah.
"Hey, your currency isn't worth dick because you don't have any dollars
yeah,
backing it."
but now we have nukes.
right.
So now we have the ability to destroy the world.
Well,
Mike, do you think that's going to affect the transfer of any of this?
I don't know.
Because now
Yeah,
it's
but
like
we
back
can be
then you
destroyed
just had a
Unless we
war.
do.
And you just lined a bunch of people up with muskets.
Well, no, it's not the wars. It's because look at these. You know,
but look,
the
revolt.
Dutch East India Company decline, Anglo-Dutch wars. So a couple of them had wars. Yeah,
Look, Anglo-Dutch War.
Portuguese succession crisis. So it's not a war. It's a loss in confidence. So
what
like
is this?
if
What is
America
this? What is
shits
this?
the bed,
No, what is this? What is this? Portuguese.
secession. So
Yeah,
that's when
what is
the new
this?
king
Crisis.
took over. So there was a secession crisis, I guess, in Portugal.
So they didn't know who was in
They
charge?
didn't know who was the new king.
Okay,
they
so in other
freaked the
words,
fuck
Spain
out,
took over.
and Spain took over.
Okay, great. So we have Trump, so we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
good.
that's not going to accelerate
but-
at all or anything.
I want to say this. So we're on the brink, right? People are worried about war with North Korea, nuclear war. So this whole time,
No, I'm not.
Okay, well, some people are. So what? 60-some years we had this policy, right? Mutually assured destruction. MAD. It's basically if we have
It's
a
a
nuke
Cold
and you have
War.
a nuke, yeah, during the Cold War between the Soviets and us, there's not going to be a war because if there was, we'd all be dead, right? So why would we do it? I bring that up because I feel like the way proof of work functions with Bitcoin is very similar, right?
Oh,
Where if you attack the network, the value of Bitcoin is destroyed.
Yes.
So it's a similar kind of incentive mechanism, I would say. And it's funny that now we have this whole thing with North Korea. Like, hey, maybe MAD doesn't work, and now we also have the same thing with Bitcoin, where hey, maybe the current incentive mechenism is going to change too. Where do you guys read?
Yeah,
I
he's
told you this
reading-
was happening.
Yeah,
You didn't
the
believe me.
Chinese yuan is becoming.
It's becoming a world.
The fifth after U.S. dollar, euro, British. So the U.S. dollar is a primary, and then followed by the euro, pound sterling. So what defines the global?
So there's multiple. It's whoever has the most dominance. Sorry,
No.
we completely cut you off, Ben.
Did you cut each other off? You just cut people off all the time.
What defines the global reserve currency? I believe right now is the IMF monetary basket.
IMF.
Yeah,
That's what
it
okay.
is. It's the International Monetary Fund.
So North
they have
Korea
a basket
thinks-
of currencies.
So North Korea doesn't accept the IMF's standards, right?
I don't. Well,
Or Russia.
I mean, I don't know what they do, but
All right, sorry,
Hey,
Ben.
this is
Ben, keep
Blocktime.
going.
We're just talking about Bitcoin.
Dude, money.
We should
money
think
is money.
you're a Bitcoin maximalist. It's not going to be a nation state currency fiat. It's going to be cryptocurrencies, right?
All right, let's hear it, Ben.
No, I'm telling you. I'm asking you.
No, you already know what I said. I think for me, my definition of Bitcoin maximalist is different. My definition of Bitcoin maximalist is, to me, is you look at all the different types of blockchains and you realize there is only pretty much one need for like one proof of work blockchain, and proof of work is the only thing new that got brought to the field, and all the other kind of proof of stake and other ideas are just tests right now that don't really have any viable use case so far.
Sort of. I mean, they have value.
That's
though,
to
and
me.
they go
That's
up
what a
in value,
Bitcoin
but-
maximalist is.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
but-
So if your definition is different, then I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist. Maybe I'm something else.
I was saying, so the idea, right, is that Bitcoin is going to eventually take over cryptocurrencies. Let's say cryptocurrencies.
yeah,
Maybe there's something else.
cryptocurrencies. Yeah,
And what's great about that is we can get rid of the nation state. And I believe, I think a lot of people believe
I don't think
that
we're
our-
going to get rid of the nation
Well,
state.
I don't
I
know,
don't
man.
think that's going to happen.
Well,
that's the libertarian dream.
Well, no, you could still have some sort of governance, right? It doesn't have to be. It's not like anarchy or chaos or anything like that.
So you're saying get rid of the nation state seigniorage of
yeah, like
money.
a border and everything, and we attack. You know, if you're across
No,
the
I
border, we
mean,
can attack
that'll
you.
still
you know, that-
exist. I'm pretty sure that'll.
Yeah,
still
yeah, but it
exist.
won't be based on the border. It might be based on religion. Maybe I'm just saying.
Well,
that
that's
this
like
whole
how
border-
Africa. That's how Africa got. Like, they didn't care about any of the borders that the British put up, and then they had like cross.
Right.
You know,
What defines our
countries.
border? Because I lived on the border. I lived on Mexico and Texas, right? And actually, we would float down the Rio Grande and everything. And we talk about this wall, and it's interesting because, like, where do you put the wall in terms of the river? Is it in the middle of the river, or is it on? It's probably going to be on our side, which kind of sucks because we don't get the freaking.
There's not going to be any wall, dude.
dude. First off,
Anyway, so what defines a border? Like, if I go to the Mexican side, I'm floating down the river, right? It's just-
governments.
yeah,
right?
like, yeah,
Governments.
Nation
it's
states.
it's an arbitrary kind of line that we're drawing.
Well, I mean that's not true with geographical borders.
But
like the Himalayas and stuff,
But-
dividing India and
no. But what really defines a nation is the currency, is what I'm saying. So if everybody's
I don't
using
think
Bitcoin-
so. I don't think so. I don't think
Okay.
so necessarily. So I think nation states will still exist, but what Bitcoin will end is nation state seigniorage of money. So the ability for them to have monopoly, print, and devalue
I
their
don't
own
think that's what
currency.
seigniorage means.
Yeah, that's what seigniorage means.
Seigniorage is like when you print quarters and the face value is more than the
No, seigniorage.
to create it.
Seigniorage is the right to print money. That's what seigniorage means.
Yeah, look it up, Casey or Tidwell. But anyway, still, it's a good thing.
All right, you ready for the definition? Profits made by a government by issuing currency, especially the difference between the face value of the coin and their production costs.
Right.
That's exactly what I just said.
Well, yeah.
The
okay.
face
I
value.
like
and
I
production
like how
costs.
both y'all thought you won that argument.
Yeah.
based on-
I just said the face value and what it costs to produce.
Yeah,
That's
but I
exactly.
right.
Rewind the tape.
But I fucking love how y'all both were like, "See,
Well,
I
okay.
told you so."
no, you're talking about the ability to print money. That's not what that just
You
said.
don't have seigniorage. You can't do that if you don't have the ability to print money.
Profits made
That's
by
not
a
what
government,
seigniorage means,
especially
though.
the difference between. I'm gonna have to side with Ben on
Yeah,
this.
okay. I'll
But who
stipulate
cares?
that. Seigniorage is the actual profit you make from it, but they can't do that.
It's
They-
the process of printing, and you take the. It's what we do with quarters and dimes. Look, this is all on the internet, right? Just
Yeah,
someone
no.
Someone fact check
It's-
us on
it's-
this.
Okay, no, it's in there. So the face value, right? So the face value versus how much you. So like, well, actually, penny's a horrible example because a penny costs
It's
2
the
cents to
opposite.
produce.
We only do it basically it's quarters and dimes.
But like
We'll
quarters
talk
and
about
dimes,
that.
quarters
Negative
mostly
profit.
zinc and
zinc
you know
and
so
copper.
yeah. So
Super
it's like
nickel.
it's it costs maybe like 2.5 cents to make a
I'm
quarter.
sorry, no. It's copper nickel, so it's copper and nickel. That's what a quarter is.
Quarter,
There's no
yeah.
zinc.
Oh, there's no zinc
pennies
in a
are
copper.
zinc.
Pennies are zinc. Yeah,
Yeah.
copper nickel. They used to be silver before 1967. I think they were silver. Now they're not at all. They're just cheap shit. So, but yeah, so seigniorage is the difference between the face value, which is 25 cents, and they say, let's
Yeah,
say 3 cents it costs to make it.
But fractional reserve banking, that doesn't exist, right? Because it's all just printed. It's just all
All right,
digits on a
guys.
computer.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
So
guys.
it's not seigniorage at
So
all.
let's
I was
Look-
gonna start saying maybe we should talk about more blockchain related.
yeah. Well, it's
So-
money. Whatever. Money's
Right.
money.
Yeah,
Well, no,
this
no,
whole
actually-
purpose was
actually-
supposed to be
Actually,
about money.
actually, I agree. The financial terms and stuff like seigniorage. Am I even saying that right?
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a
Seigniorage.
word.
Seigniorage.
I think we agree on that.
I
How
didn't
do
even
you
know that was a
pronounce
word.
Seigniorage.
Wait, hold on. Google.
You know how to pro-
Seigniorage.
Well, there you go.
Seigniorage.
Yeah.
Wait,
Seigniorage.
shut up.
Seigniorage.
It's seigniorage.
Seigniorage. Okay.
Seigniorage.
All right.
Seigniorage. But then again,
Oh, look up fungible. Sorry.
wait. The definition?
No, the pronunciation. Fungible. It doesn't have one.
No, it
Oh,
does.
there it is.
Fungible.
Fungible.
Dude,
By the way, you guys are
was there
talking-
any was there any
What were y'all
dispute
saying about
on
I just
Fungible.
wanted to hear
I didn't
Google
get
say
that.
it.
So there is a theory, right, that in the future governments could control the money supply by like looking at the serial number. You can actually say any dollar that has 5 at the end of the serial number no longer valid. Take it out of supply.
Could
So-
happen.
Right? Theoretically, right?
They
no,
could invalidate
wait,
based
question,
on that.
question. I have a question before you go on. It's my opinion that dollars that get, you know how 97% of all the money is digital? Those individual dollars do not have serial numbers. It's just accounts.
Yeah.
It's just value in accounts.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
It's only the printed
much
money.
That's much more traceable.
Yeah,
than,
but it's only the printed money that has any kind of serial number associated with it. You know, it's funny. I had this argument with someone the other day, and I was trying to explain how that would be like so infeasible, or it doesn't happen.
it
But
is very infeasible to track serial
anyways,
numbers. But
anyways, so keep going.
So that's where you come into fungibility, right? Because you could say that maybe the ones at 5 are worth more now because it's banned by the government.
well,
so
that
it has more
happened
value.
kind of happened in India. They didn't do with serial numbers, but they just it was it was fungible between different denominations, and they just said, okay, these two types of bills are just now worthless. Done. And,
So
you
yeah,
have to
you-
trade
you
them
had
in.
like-
you
you
have
had 1
48
month.
hours. No, 48 hours or 72 hours. It
is
was
it-
like
I thought it was 1 month.
no 70. I think the initial was 72 hours.
But
and then they had something.
fungibility is talking about, okay, if you take
Was it-
$1 out of your pocket.
Wait, hold on. Was it 2,000 rupee or 1,000 rupee that they got rid of?
There were two denominations. I forget what they were. They were like the 500 and I don't know.
No. I think they got rid of 500 and 1,000, and now they converted to 2,000.
Yeah, that's what
rupees.
happened. I
Okay,
think
sorry,
so.
Ben. Keep going.
I'm trying to make a really good point here, by the way. So let's just say that this is a quarter, right? I give you a quarter, I give you a quarter, okay? The quarters are the same. They're worth the same. So you give it to me, or I get
My
it from
quarter
him.
says Wisconsin on it, man. Mine's worth more.
Yeah. So actually, these are different, you know? So Bitcoin, there's more value if you can actually trace where the Bitcoin came from. Let's say it was part of Satoshi's Bitcoin. That has more value.
It's not more about it's a lack of fungibility is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you know you can't say they're like for like. You can't melt them down.
Exactly.
That's why mixers
Which
are
is a
there. But, I
problem.
mean, it is a problem, and it's a problem. It's less of a problem in like Dash and Monero and whatever because like in Zcash
True.
too because they're much more fungible because you can like melt it down and it comes back out and you're like, well, what's this history? No fucking clue.
Okay, real quick, Mike, you're wrong. You
Ah.
had 50 days. It was 48
50
hours
days, huh?
before you couldn't spin them at a store
At a
legally,
store,
but you
okay.
could go to a bank and
trade them out.
So
yeah.
that was I knew
yeah.
there was a caveat to what you said.
So it was,
Okay.
yeah, no.
All right,
no.
sorry.
That's
Keep going,
That's
guys.
correct.
So the other aspect of fungibility with Bitcoin is that, let's say I have, like on my phone, I have what, 9,000. I have a
Bitcoins?
I have a Bitcoin app. I have 9,000 Satoshi.
Oh, I was about
So
to say,
my
dude, you're
9,000 Satoshi is worth less than if you have 9,000 Satoshi on one input in addition to, let's say, 900,000 Satoshi. I can't spend this, right? So it's worth less. I can sit there and give you, or it's worth more, I should say. It depends on who's sending, who's receiving. But that's the idea, right? That my
Are you trying to
9,000
say because
Satoshi is
the
different.
transaction fee will eat it up? What are you
Yeah,
trying to
because
say?
you can't actually use it. Right?
So it's worth more. How?
Well, it's
It's not worth more.
I would
not
think
worth more.
Yeah, it's-
anything under a certain price would be, or
it's
under a
worth more
certain.
to
zero.
me. Yeah, it's worth. I mean,
It's worth
I
more
can't
to
use
you.
it.
It's worth-
It's worth more because I have to spend money in order to send you that money.
See, I disagree.
This
That's-
is so weird.
No,
Ben.
no,
It
no,
is
no,
so
no,
weird,
no.
but it's true.
That's what Chris DeRose keeps saying is, oh, well, transaction fees are going up because people value more, and then that makes it worth more. And no, I think transaction fees, you know, they decline the utility of it as money,
Right.
because cheap transaction fees means it's more useful as money because you have less friction.
I think it does
It
both.
means it's
well,
worth
hey,
more
hold on,
when you have cheap transactions.
What
It's good, but it's also bad because of that. Yeah.
But here's a better question. Do you think that let's say Bitcoin goes to $100,000 and like now your 9,000 Satoshis, you only need to spend like 500 of them or 200 of them to move that 9?
I can't. There's like a minimum fee that you have to pay when you send a transaction.
No, there isn't.
The minimum relay fee.
No, there isn't.
There
minimum
is a
TX
Bitcoin
relay
Cash.
fee. There is. It exists in the client, but
No. The client, not in Bitcoin protocol itself.
No,
but I
right?
mean the practical application of it, yes.
No,
There's
no.
a default value. For
No, but that value is dynamic.
it is dynamic.
That's
but
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying. If Bitcoin goes
it's
to
not going to get relayed
$100,000,
though. It's not
You're
gonna get
talking
relayed.
you're talking about theoretically. He's talking about practically.
It could be soft
no.
forked. It could be soft forked so that you can allow
theoretically,
lower relay
Bitcoin's going to
You don't even need a
500,000
soft
in
fork.
3
Everybody
years.
could adjust it. Everybody could adjust it. But yeah, and it's adjustable. It's an adjustable thing. But you would have to have enough space in
Okay.
the mempool to handle them.
All I'm trying to say is, do you think that would promote, a bunch of these? How Chris called it earlier a couple of weeks ago, cockroach motel money or whatever. You know how you have like 9,000 Satoshis or whatever.
I get the term.
Do you think that a lot of those are going to a lot of the situations going to get fixed just based on the Bitcoin price rising
It depends.
and the fees
Like
going
it depends.
down?
What fork are we talking about? So remember, I mean,
Bitcoin, just
so
Bitcoin.
let's 3 scenarios.
Bitcoin
Let's first
vanilla.
look at the Bitcoin Cash scenario. Because in that scenario, that stuff they have enough space that they could lower them in relay text fee for whatever. They could all decide as a group to do that. Hey, we want to clear out old UTXOs.
I tried to send a free transaction. I couldn't do it. on
Well,
Bitcoin
yeah.
Cash. I was pissed.
Well, no. If they decided, hey, we want to try to clear out the old UTXO set, because remember, those things have a cost because they take up space and they're there forever. So the more shit we like that we get rid of, the better. Because
cost
it
and the
proves
memory and the
UTXO.
hard drive space.
But yeah. So that's the Bitcoin Cash scenario, and then you have the SegWit scenario, just the SegWit 1MB scenario. In that scenario, it's like those are kind of there to stay forever, right? Because you're never, ever, because the fee is denominated. It doesn't matter what the price goes because the fee is denominated in Bitcoin, right? So in that scenario, the fees are going to be really, 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 really high. on a per capita per basis because you have a limited quantity of block size, right?
Well,
Even
they could keep increasing. They could have Segwit and just keep increasing the block size.
Well, I'm assuming because they're dead set. They're willing to fork away from a 2x fork, which tells me they're not planning on increasing the block size.
Who's they?
Core.
Oh, yeah, but that's different than what Bitcoin is going to be. The core is going to be a separate coin.
No.
That's gonna be a hard fork.
No. Okay, right now there are 2 coins.
Holy shit, Ben! Like you can't just say that.
You can't
so
just say
easily.
that. No.
No, they said that they're going to.
It doesn't
they're
matter.
gonna
They're
fork.
going to. Right now, there's one Bitcoin that has 2 potential forks. Right now, they're both still fucking Bitcoin, as everybody said. They're both still BTC, as whatever we're saying. So one fork of the side is a Segwit 1 megabyte fork. The other fork is a Segwit 2x fork. Segwit 2x likely won't be enough unless it scales. And so that's the potential you said. They could keep increasing. And then one day you could prune or spend those shitty transactions, right? Those little ones. The Segwit side, Segwit 1 megabyte side, forever, whatever that. No, there's no way in fucking hell you're ever going to get it to a degree.
Well, you could send it through a payment channel, though.
No, you can't. I mean, you literally can't because, well, the only way you could do it, yeah, you could. But what you would have to do is you would have to combine it with another transaction of greater value, just like now, and then you would have to use them both as inputs.
And then you
suck
basically
it
pay
in.
a fee that.
Yeah, but you would pay a fee
it's
that's
worthless
higher than the amount
value,
you're getting.
right, which
I mean,
you can
so
do
you
now.
totally can do that at any time, but
Right, it doesn't make
you're
sense.
never going to get value from it.
So this is called dust, right? Because
Yes,
it's something I
it
have
is
on my
dust.
phone. I can't spend it, and that's a problem. And
And
again,
it
goes into
exists in
deflation.
everybody's UTXO
Okay,
too.
Okay, yeah, that's true, and that's a problem as well. But what normally happens though, like I'm not going to sit there and hold on. Oh, I guess I will. I'll hold on to this for 100 years, and then I can actually spend this thing, right?
That's the thing is you won't be able to on 2 of the 3 scenarios. Ever.
But regardless, let's say that I can. A lot of these people, what do? They just, delete it.
They
delete
die
delete
eventually.
delete the app. I get a new phone. I'm not going to try. I don't care about this 9,000 Satoshi, right? And it goes away. It's gone forever, right? It's a lost coin at
It's
that
not
point.
gone. It's sitting in the UTXO.
Well, people's ability to make that transfer.
Well,
that's a whole different
but
topic.
versus what I was talking about, if for some reason the byte per Satoshi cost went way down, like let's say like 1 Satoshi per byte, then obviously you could move it. Because then you're spending like 100 Satoshis to move whatever you want.
So I was talking to Cletus about this very problem.
200 or whatever.
Well, not this very problem, but just general the bloated UTXO set, and we were talking about
Pruning?
it. About pruning it because and I think what we ended up coming up with as at the end because it's like the problem is Satoshi's coins. Because if we could get rid of Satoshi's coins, we could prune a shit ton of the blockchain. Because we have to keep all, you know what I mean? Everything all the way back.
You mean Craig Wright's
Yeah,
coins?
that's Craig Wright.
Whatever. So
Wait.
no,
think-
God damn it,
do you
Tidwell.
think-
Let me
yeah,
finish.
let him
the
finish,
fucking
let him
thought.
finish.
All right. All right. So what we were talking about is, and we came to the conclusion because all Satoshi's early coins can be easily identified and dealt with separately and still give Satoshi the ability to spend them. Is you handle and flag transactions differently because all Satoshi's early coins were not pay to pub key hash; they were pay to pub key, right? So yeah.
Go over that?
So they were
Pay
different.
to pub key hash
Yeah.
versus pay to pub key? Talk about that?
Well, it's just the original transaction type paid directly out to the pub key. Instead of paying to the hash of the pub key, which is what we do now.
How would you
Bitcoin
know what the
transaction.
pub key is? Because everyone just has an address.
That's the thing is you literally.
Back then they didn't have
that's
addresses?
what they did back then.
They didn't have
just
addresses
paid
back
a
then.
fucking public key.
But they
Yeah.
didn't have addresses back
Yeah,
then.
that was
Okay.
before they implemented the pay to pub key hash.
Okay.
So yeah, so there's an easy way to identify Satoshi's coins and say, okay, well, we'll have a different separate process for handling that shit so we can like segregate it from the fucking rest of the shit so we can not worry about the pruning bullshit.
That might
So
be a good way to
it's an
find out who
interesting-
Satoshi is. If you
Well,
start
no,
moving his-
if Satoshi's shit ever moves, if any one of those ever moves, it's going to be huge news instantly.
It's going to be on like Forbes
yeah.
and like CNN.
So I mean, no, everybody's
Fox News,
everybody's watching
MSNBC.
those. Everybody's watching those. If anybody ever moves those shits, it's
RT,
going to be everywhere.
Fox
So,
5
yeah.
News.
So let's talk about Craig Wright because I want to say something about this.
You love him. You think he's Satoshi.
No, I
and
don't.
he's brilliant.
No, I didn't say that. I think he's a fascinating person. He is so fascinating to me, right? And he could look if he's a scam artist. Well, you know what?
He's a
What
fascinating
defines a
scam
scam artist? Yeah, he's a fascinating scam
He's a
artist.
fascinating.
I would
artist.
say they commit scams.
Yeah, but doesn't everybody
one who does it in an artful manner.
Oh yeah. There's artists
or not?
yes.
But so he said obviously some very controversial things, and the way he puts it is interesting and fascinating, and a lot of people, I mean, kind of like it, right? He's one of those guys that he doesn't care what you think. He just says it, and he'll cuss if he has to, whatever. But there's a video clip. And it was him at some conference, and someone was talking about they're comparing it to money and the Federal Reserve note, right? Because your dollar isn't money. No, he says it's a claim ticket, right? It's like redeemable.
Not
whatever
really.
it says.
Not
Well,
anymore.
It used to be redeemable for silver, but now it's
Used to be, but it's not anymore.
whatever it says. Where it's so
it
anyway,
used to be
This debt
redeemable
is
for gold or whatever.
legal tender for all debts, public and private.
There you go.
Yeah,
Legal
that's what
tender
it is
for
now.
debts. Yeah, that's what it is now.
It's not redeemable for shit. It's a dollar.
Right, but it used to be, right? It used to be redeemable for
Yeah, there used
silver.
to be gold certificates and silver certificates.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he was making a comparison. I mean, the video's out there; people can watch it. But what was fascinating is I said, "Well, Bitcoin is really just a claim ticket," and everybody was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And me too. I was like, "A claim ticket? No, you own your Bitcoin. You have your Bitcoin. There's no claim. You don't go to someone and claim it." But he was saying, "But you think about it, right? It's interesting because he's like, no, you don't actually own your Bitcoin, and it's true." Right? You don't own Bitcoin. You just have to think about it. It's
No,
just open
I mean
mind.
it depends how you define ownership. I
Yeah.
say
How do you
ownership,
define ownership?
knowing the
key.
private key.
The control of the private key.
What does it mean,
knowing
control?
knowing the private key.
Knowing the private key.
Knowing the private
So
key.
if I know it and you know it,
Control of the private key.
if I know it and you know it, who owns it?
We both own it.
Who says who? If I
Says me.
I can take that, move it somewhere
Then
else.
you own it. Then you.
So,
now
so
you just own
you
it.
and your wife are married and you own something. Who owns it? You or her?
Ben's
Well,
gonna say
we have,
him.
we have laws in place.
I'm
we
single,
have a
damn
court
it.
system. We have a legal system
Right,
in
but
place
you
that
both
determines
you
that.
both own it. No. There's a Schrodinger moment until you make that determination where you both own it.
Yeah, but that's all in
I
a
like
contract, an agreement, and
Schrodinger
everything, right? It's like
No,
it's in a contract.
no, it's not. I mean, you don't define that until the divorce.
Yeah, but
if you're
it's-
married
okay.
and you never get divorced, it's community property. You both fucking own
Okay,
it.
but there is legal precedence for something like that.
But
where
it's
who
community
owns it?
Wait,
property.
Ben, I have a
you
question.
both own it.
If I had a Siamese twin, and we both knew the private key, would you at that point say we both own it?
No, no one owns it. So if we both know what the
Can
private
humans
key is,
own anything? That's a better question.
in a Bitcoin world, maybe they can own money at least. You don't own the money. You don't own Bitcoin.
All right,
That's-
make your
that's more-
original point.
more
Make your original
philosophy.
point.
No, my original point was that
You don't
I thought
own
about
Bitcoin
this after Craig
because-
Wright talked about it.
Why? Why don't I own the Bitcoin
Look,
if I have the
'cause
private key? Because the
if-
miners might not verify it.
You just said I have the private key. No, you know the private key. Okay,
That
You
to me
and-
that's synonymous with knowing the private key and having the private key is synonymous.
okay. So I know it and you know private
Well,
key.
let me define
Yeah.
it better. Having access to the private key ultimately, because you might have a treasure, you might never
Correct.
know the private key, you might never have the private key, but you have a way to use the
See,
private
this gets
key.
more complicated by multisig. Just saying.
So yeah. No. But the ability to use the private key and sign a message is ownership.
Okay, or knowing, whatever, it's fine. But let's just say we don't have that and we just know what the private key is. I know it and you know it.
All right.
I go, hey, we both have ownership, right?
Yeah.
We both have ownership.
Until
So
one
I
of you
go,
decides to spend it.
Yeah, I send it to an address that only I know. And what do you say? No, I own it too.
No.
Says
Dude,
who?
No. It's like a joint checking account.
At that
No.
point, you own it.
No,
At that
Ben.
point, after that,
The
you own it. He
Bitcoin?
does
No,
not.
hold on.
So he doesn't own Bitcoin. You own the private key.
No,
That's what you're
Ben.
saying.
No.
Ben, what's the difference between what you're describing in a joint checking account? If you take all the money out of the checking account and put it into another checking account, then you just took
here's
all
the
the money.
difference because there's laws.
It's still our checking
Nah,
account.
it's
There's
not-
laws
it's not
and
about
precedents.
legal. It's not ownership in a legal construct. It's ownership. It's because this isn't about law. It's about control and the ability to execute.
It's
the
about
ability
control.
to spend.
Yeah, but
I would say
You have
that's
the
have to
ability to
separate-
spend. It's not about law because you can sue, but guess what? Our legal system isn't denominated in Bitcoin. The ultimate payout is going to be in legal tender, and that's dollars.
You just
you
got
can't
Craig
sue for Bitcoin.
You just got
because-
Craig righted.
Yeah, you can't
Craig
sue
Wright
for
just-
Bitcoin.
Craig Wright just
Exactly.
righted
So
you.
it's not a legal thing.
Oh, he
You know,
scammed me, didn't he?
Craig
Oh,
Wright
my God.
scammed you, dude, into
So
thinking you had a good talking point.
That's what sucks is you can't. You know,
Oh,
I mean,
it is a good talk.
so-
No,
so
it's not.
Bitcoin.
No one owns Bitcoin. No one owns
Oh,
Bitcoin.
Yeah, but
no, I
but if
disagree.
you say no one owns Bitcoin, then you have to really define
Ownership.
Can humans own anything?
Yeah, it's true.
And what defines ownership?
Do I own my house?
Yeah,
I don't
does
know.
the government own
See,
it?
that's
Does
when we
Mike
get
own
into
it?
Yeah,
philosophy.
Because we're getting into
well, technically the
super
bank
philosophy.
owns it. Technically,
Yeah, no, but we're
But-
getting into philosophy when we talk about ownership.
yeah. It's
You
a
can-
philosophical thing.
It's easier to argue like overall what is ownership
Well, think about some people are
or like
some people are talking about these use cases of, let's say, your property,
So-
land titles are all on the blockchain, that kind of thing, or maybe your identity, right, is based on your private key. But if it's just a matter of knowing what it is, it's like a social security number, right? Someone could
So
just
someone
take it.
could
and
steal
they
I
your
would
become-
say,
identity.
I would say
they take your
possession
money.
in Bitcoin. Possession is ownership. Possession is ownership.
I guess here's a big
It's
difference
a
with
bearer
Bitcoin.
instrument. It's a bearer instrument.
Here's a big difference
That's
with
the thing.
There's a big difference with Bitcoin versus like a checking account, right? There's no central authority bank or something like that you can go to and say, "Hey, I actually owned it. Here's my proof." There's nothing like that in
What
Bitcoin.
about bearer bonds? Same deal. Bearer bonds.
Bearer
right?
bonds?
Yeah, bearer bonds.
it's when you actually have to have the bond in order
It's
to
like a
redeem
piece
it.
of paper, but it is redeemable to whoever has that piece of paper. There's no name
so you can
associated
you
with
can
it.
sell that you can
You can
put,
sell it,
give
be
that
like,
bond to
here,
someone else and they can go to
and
the
it's a
bank
bearer.
and
They
get
go
it.
to
Yeah.
it, and there's no paper trail. It's a bearer bond. Those things exist, and they're bonds. And say, oh yeah, we owe you money because you have the fucking bond.
Yeah, back
Same
in like
deal.
in the Wild Wild West days.
No,
they did a lot
no,
of
they
that.
still have them.
Yeah, but like
They're-
back in the
they're
Wild
here.
Wild West days, they did a lot of that with the bank stuff.
Yeah.
By the way,
Right.
do we know anybody that like knows like their private key?
Well,
Like memorizes it? Yeah.
Has control of. It's not.
No. I
Okay.
mean, like someone could
literally-
memorize it.
no,
I actually
literally-
know a guy.
If
I
you-
actually
no,
know a
hold on.
guy.
No,
well, I
no.
know two guys.
Ben,
Is it Scott?
Ben. No, Ben. If you did memorize your private key, you'd have to claim it when you travel overseas and back to the U.S.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
Oh,
you would have
yeah,
to, you'd have
that's
to claim it
right.
because you have it on your person. Yes.
See, and again, that's what's so important about this, right? It's not physical, and it could be just by memory.
Yeah,
and that defines your ownership. It's completely separate than something we've ever dealt
Bitcoin
with
is
before.
not a
Dealt
claim
with
check.
before.
I would say Bitcoin is not a claim check at all.
Well, you can't say it's a claim check, but you just say that you don't actually own Bitcoin. You memorize or you have access to a private key.
Well, you actually
and then you could transfer Bitcoin.
yeah, but
from
you don't actually own your house. You don't actually own this beer. You don't actually own that
Wait,
microphone.
wait.
You
This
don't-
is physical.
But
though.
does he-
That's
Yeah,
different.
it's there's
But
no
I can't
difference.
memorize the
but
beer.
does he own what's in his body, Mike? Does he own his body?
I don't know.
I would say he
Dude,
does.
The fact that you can memorize.
Huh.
That's why I asked that, because I
I
think that's
suppose. Well, that's a legal construct because we don't have slavery, so I would suppose he kind of does.
He owns
But-
himself. But he doesn't own the headphones that he's wearing or the microphone.
No,
he's
he
using.
does
I own
not. No, I
Or we-
own them.
that.
Oh, which one of us? Do we
You-
both own them?
Yeah,
I
you
don't
bought
fucking
it.
know. Well, no, it's community property.
don't get a divorce.
All right,
Are we about ready to wrap
I
up?
think
Yeah.
we're ready to
Is there
wrap
like
it
a
up. This has
time?
gotten.
I think the knots has been found.
I think this needs to be edited.
Yeah, no.
And
It's
our
not
blocks,
gonna get
and our
Take
blocks
out
need to
half
be
of it.
edited.
blocks. Well, oh no.
Cut
Our
half
blocks
of
need
this
to be
out.
rolled
Hold on,
back.
Hold on. We usually have a sign out, so think of something clever. Wait, first before we do a sign out, Ben, you're new, kind of new. We did interview. Where can people find out more information about you? If they want, if
I'm
you
gonna
want,
be- Twitter.
And what's your Twitter handle?
Yacoin Ben on Twitter.
spell it.
YACOIN.
Okay,
Ben.
BEN. We'll finish it for you.
All right.
Cut that out,
And
please.
I am
Edit
the
that out.
I am the
Are you
black
serious?
marble.
No, I'm just
Okay.
I am the black marble.
And I am Mike21. Good luck finding me because that's a very complicated spelling of Mike21.
just go to the black marble. You'll see him on me.
But with that, I think the nonce has been found.
And I don't know. I had something. I lost it.
Say something random.
Our blocks are fungible? No, they're not.
You have to say something about money. Come on.
Our blocks are reserved. You
Well, I
can't
have to
just
say
do that.
something?
He has no fucking clue.
You have to sign out.
Whatever.
We have to say something weird.
Thanks for propagating with us. Bye.
I'm still waiting for Ben to say something. All right, bye.